Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Players Take, episode 284. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined, as always, by my co-host, Montrell Rice. Montrell, how are you this week, sir?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm fine, really tired today. like, I wanted to go to bed when I got home, but, we got to do the pod, so here we are.
Yeah.
um, but, yeah, I will be getting some sleep this weekend. I'm actually taking Monday off because I just need a day off, dude. Like I need to recharge a little bit. So yeah, we got a lot of news this week, so I kinda don't want to dilly dally today. So you wanna just jump right in?
Yeah.
All right. Well, for those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and your favorite podcast app of choice. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com, and we will certainly answer that question on the show. All right, Montrell, let's get started, like we always do, with what we've been playing. You want to go first this week?
Actually, I haven't really been playing too much this week. I think I'm going to skip my section this week.
Man, just
I've,
League. Just League.
yeah, that's
Oh,
all I've
man.
been playing this week.
Montreal's in a rut right now. I feel like. I mean, I kind of have been too. So yeah, I mean, just League for me. Mostly, it's we played 4 days in a row over the weekend. I think we played like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or something like that.
Yeah.
Definitely got a little burned out on it, but I'm trying to focus more when I play. I feel like I gotten into the habit of being on autopilot a little bit too much,
hmm
sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm really trying to like hone in and like focus, when I'm in the middle of a match and like keep myself engaged, like keep looking at the map, keep warding, looking for wards, checking where people are, that kind of thing. Because sometimes when you're playing, you just kind of you get into it's almost like a metronome. Like you get into like this like rhythm in the lane of CSing and like dancing with your opponents, and then that's like you're really locked into that. It's almost hypnotizing.
Yeah.
Um and so you can't be in that headspace if you're gonna succeed at League. So I've been trying to like more actively pay attention. But how are you feeling on League? Your boy Silas is getting a buff. Sounds like you said it's gonna save him.
No, it's not going to necessarily save him, but he'll be more viable in lane.
Okay.
I've been using him a lot more lately, and now that I've gotten used to him, he's okay. He definitely needs some damage buffs, which they are giving him. One to his W and then one to his passive, which is the spin that he does after every attack or
Mm,
every ability. He does
yeah.
the
That like
burst.
chain spin, yeah.
Yeah. So that will make him definitely more bruisery. I still think he either needs. I think his cooldowns are already good. He may not need his shield back because I mean I have to rush an item called Thimble Renter that
Mhm.
gives him a shield every time you slow or immobilize somebody, so you get a shield off that. And there's not really a cooldown on it as
Mm.
well.
Mhm.
So it's like having this E shield back on old Silas, but um I think once people pick up on that, they may either nerf it or they may buff it. I don't I'm not too sure.
Mhm.
Uh I just think right now people just have to get away from the assassin mode of Silas. I don't think he's a very good assassin. I never thought he was a very good assassin because he has no tools to get out of the fight.
Yeah.
Unlike other assassins like Akali, Katarina, Zed, they can jump in and jump out real quick. He is just all in or nothing, and that's it. So he is designed to be a bruiser um, initially, and I think they need to lean more into it. Maybe put some more tankiness back into his kit or some more life steal back into his kit. Just make it a little bit more to where he can just stay alive a little bit more
Yeah.
in the fight and take two or three alts instead of right as of right now I can only take like maybe one alt per fight when I used to be able to take two or three like way back in the day. I
Mhm.
used to be able to take two or three alts. at level 3 are.
Yeah.
So um there's some stuff that he needs done. Um but I can still manage to work with them, especially in low elo. I can still manage to work with them. I just be patient in lane. I can't bully people like I used to in lane. I think that's the thing that's getting people because you can't bully anymore until
Mm,
you're like level 5 or 6, and then you can start bullying people. And people usually max his W first, whereas you have to kind of strategically max his Q to 3 points and then start maxing his W. So a lot of people don't really know how to do that, or they don't want to do that. That's another thing. Another reason why his win rate is so low is people are just simply refusing to play the way that he is kind of meant to be played. They're still used to the assassin version of Silas, and that's contributing to the low win rate,
mhm.
including myself. I was trying to play it that way because everybody else is saying this is the best way to play him still. And then when I started experimenting and trying my own thing and just looking at other people's builds and stuff like that, that sort of kind of worked.
Yeah.
It kind of clicked for me how to play the champion.
Mhm.
Um, One champion I can't play anymore though is Kindred. She's kind of dead in the jungle. They
Wow.
necessarily they nerfed her Q like 2 patches ago. Because she was already like I guess overpowered, which I don't think she was overpowered. She's always been an interesting character. She always counters the meta. Um and she always flew under the radar because she counters the meta. And yeah, some
That
reason
must have been in
they
pro play, dude. Because I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Besides you, I don't think I've ever seen a good Kindred player in low elo.
I mean they're not good in low elo.
Like, I don't think
It's
I've ever seen one that's like actually effective with the character. You know?
Yeah, they're not that character is not a good character in low elo to play. Which is how I climbed to gold with her like easily because she's such an effective champion at counter jungling. And that's what you're supposed to do with her. So I mean, there's a lot of things that contributed to her low win rate so far. Like
Mhm.
obviously, it's hard to counter jungle because they made it easier to jungle.
Yeah.
Two is just uh her farm speed is not as fast as like Master Yi or Shyvana or anything like that. So it's hard to keep up with
Mm.
farming, and she is a counter jungler. So her main thing is I'm counter ganking you or whatever. That's how I usually used to play the game was I would anticipate a gank and then I would show up either right before it ends or right before it starts. That way the jungler is already messed up or whatever the case may be. They never expected it to happen. And I guess other people have been playing her that way, especially in the farming meta. They've been ganky or not ganky with her, but actually counter jungling with her, and she's been super effective. The problem is they she relies on ADC items because she is essentially an ADC in the jungle.
Yeah.
So they nerfed the ADC items that she built, which is Kraken Slayer, Static Shiv.
Mhm.
I usually don't build Static Shiv, but Kraken Slayer was I would rush Kraken Slayer off rip, and they nerfed the fuck out of it. So and they nerfed, like I said, her Q damage, which gives her attack speed steroid when she uses it, and they nerfed that. So she's just not viable anymore, even in low elo. You can probably get away with it, but your games are it was already hard to carry as Kindred in low elo games because people don't know how to play with her because she doesn't have hard CC or anything of that nature um,
Yeah.
for ganks. But now it's just impossible, in my opinion. You can probably get away with her playing in high elo because people understand what Kindred does in the jungle and what she brings to the table. But as of right now, it's just if I get autofill to jungle, which it is my secondary role, I just pick a Mumu or I pick Briar or I pick any other hard CC character. I pick Shyvana or somebody like that. Any hard CC farming junglers that can affect the map more easily. And I've been having a lot of success with Mumu, to be honest with you. Because he's
He's always
just
strong.
yeah, he's just a low elo stomp. Every time I play jungle, I with him, I go like 10-3 in lane or 10-3 by the end of the game or something like that.
Yeah.
Because he's just so easy and effective to play. I like playing Briar in low elo because um she's just really effective. People don't know how to really kite. She has CC. I can affect the map from across the map by using her ult, um, and everything of that nature. So Shyvana is obviously just a hard farming jungler, and she can take objectives really quickly.
She
So
can
yeah, I
also
mean, it's,
blow up a fight.
yeah, exactly. And even with her nerfs, she's still really good. I would easily take her over Lilia, in my opinion. So
Really?
yeah, easily. She's easily probably one of the best, still one of the best junglers in the game, over Lilia, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think the meta is interesting. I think the ADC thing has I've started seeing a lot of ADCs. Usually trends that happen in higher elo like take a patch or two to get down to lower elo. Now I'm
Mm,
starting to see ADCs everywhere now. Like we weren't seeing it at first, but there were a couple games where I played solo where I would see Vayne top. I mean, Vayne top's always been a fucking thing. But obviously, Vayne top. I won with a Zeri jungle. Like the Zeri jungle was on my team. I had no more dodges left, so I had to play the game. But we won that game because we had a Zeri jungle. So I
mm.
won with a Zeri jungle, Israel mid lane or Lucian mid lane. Um, there have been like ADCs everywhere in the game, and it is becoming a problem. Or it has been a problem for a while, and I think low elo just started to pick up on it. But they already nerfed a lot of the stuff, so it didn't really trickle down to us. But the games that it did happen, um, there was one game in particular that which is surprising that like Jet said that in the text message. It was one game in particular that we had legitimately all ADCs on the other team. We should have
Mm,
won the game,
mhm.
or maybe it was a solo game of me, and we should have won the game, but we lost because they had all ADCs on their team. Like literally nobody was a tank.
And you
I
guys let
think
it go too far, like too long.
it just went to 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and that was it. Like they were
Yeah.
already too powerful by 25 minutes. The game was over. Um, yeah, and it was really bad. So um I don't know what the solution is because I don't want ADCs to die. I actually think the game's very healthy when the ADC is the carry. I don't think the game's healthy with mages are in there, even though August will argue that it's very healthy to have diversity as far as bot lane. I personally don't think it's healthy to have mages bot lane. That's just me personally. I don't think it's healthy at all. I think it very
I don't
I
mind the
don't
mages as much as I mind the fucking top laners that are at bot lane. That shit is so fucking annoying when you see like Malphite support or some dumb shit,
yeah.
and it's like you're playing Jin, and it's like there's nothing you can fucking do, you know? Especially once he hits level 6, you're just okay. He R's you, and the ADC comes in and starts shooting you, and you're fucking dead. You know, it's like you have to like play like a under your fucking tower just because the character's in the lane. You know,
Yeah, I
um,
don't I don't like the idea that the only way to counter a Malphite is have a Silas on the team. I don't like
yeah.
that. Or
No,
have flash up.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't really be that specific. You know, in a game that has 170 characters. You know, it's
Yeah.
just not reasonable for that to be a solution to a problem, you know, anymore. That worked when the game had 100 champs, probably, and it was more feasible. But no, not anymore. As the roster continues to expand, like you cannot you can't have a single counter to a character. Frankly, I don't think that's appropriate, really. And it's also in a game where you're pick banning back and forth. There are going to be a lot of situations where you don't get to counter. You pick first. So if they pick Malphite and you know the players in the roles that would logically pick Silas have already picked, you're fucking. Well, then what do you do in that situation? It's like I just don't feel like it's thought through all the way. You know.
Yeah,
Um,
and they tried to make a compensation by turning it in. It used to be a point and click move.
yeah.
Like that alt used to be point and click. You couldn't dodge it. Um, they changed it to a skill shot to where it's like a general area where he goes into.
Yeah.
I
But
still
it's fucking
think,
huge.
yeah, I still think it needs to be changed. The problem is he's not viable high elo, so they're never going to change it. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and that's what I think that's what like August was trying to explain. he's saying like it's not a viable strategy high elo, because people know how to counter it. Whether they're counting, people do actually literally counter or count the times flashes up or count the times his alt's up and everything like that. I just think his alt has a low cooldown. I don't think it should be up like every 30 seconds. I
Yeah.
think it should be a legitimate like 2 minute alt at level 3. Like that's what it should be at rank 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's how powerful it is. It packs the map that much. It impacts the team fight that much. In my opinion. But like, yeah, I mean, I was watching some of those videos and they're very insightful because like he is legitimately right. Like Zed's alt, for instance, is like a low elo nightmare. Like you do get hit with it, and then you have 3 seconds of torture because after that 3 seconds you're gonna get popped with like 75% increased damage to
Mm-hmm.
what he just did to you. Because
Right.
in that 3 seconds he has that much time to damage you, and then it kind of like triples itself or increases itself upon that time. Whereas in high elo, which I actually experienced against when we were playing in Dylan's queue, um, I would alt the Kate and like she would put her shield on it, or somebody else would put their shield on, or they would instantly turn on me and CC me to where I couldn't even get a combo off instantaneously
Mm.
while in team fighting. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, so that's how you counter it. And
Yeah.
and yeah, and I see it all the time in high elo. It's so like he has to be a legitimate person to where you have to get someone solo, like off in the distance, solo or
Like
whatever
he's a
the case
true
may.
assassin in
Yeah,
high elo. Yeah.
exactly. Whereas in
Yeah.
like in low elo, I can ult into a team fight while everyone's distracted and kill the ADC and then pop right out or whatever the case may be. Um, So yeah, I mean, it's just interesting seeing the huge difference between, and I don't even think we are going against high elo players. But it's just different seeing the mindset of how they know how to counter certain stuff to whereas when we go against certain players, they don't know how to counter stuff, or even we don't know how to counter stuff because we're
Right.
not that skilled. And I
Well,
think
yeah,
like
I
Master
don't know
Yi,
how to dude, like Tom Kench, right? Bottom. Like I don't know how to counter that. Like what am I supposed to do as the ADC in that situation? I'm playing Varus, bro. It's like I guess if I got to make sure I have my flash ready in the right situations, right? Like I can't use it wastefully. Obviously. But man, it's like
I
if
think
you
it's one
have
of those things where you have to like just respect his distance. Like he can E or go underground and come back up. I think that's his E. He can go underground, come back up, and pop you at any time. So you
right.
have to respect the distance.
No, but
I
you
think
have to play like hyper safe though. You have to freeze the wave in front of your tower, like try to do
yeah.
it.
I mean,
It's
and
like
that's how they play. Yeah,
yeah,
like that's how a lot of people play.
yeah,
There are certain champions where you just have to respect them. You have to respect what
no.
they do and things of
Well,
that
and then
nature.
he's doing more damage than the ADC is in lane.
Exactly.
It's fucking
Yeah.
absurd. Like,
So I
yeah,
know for Tom Kench in particular, like I usually play a poke. Like if I'm the support, or if I'm either, or
yeah.
if
Jet was
am I
playing
the
Leona.
yeah. So
Um,
if you play Leona into that, you're gonna get probably
no, and
shit
that
faced.
was exactly what we were experiencing. Is just like it, like Jet couldn't do enough damage for us to kill the Tom Kents together.
Yeah,
Like even without the ADC there, we couldn't kill the Tom Kents. The two of us, like
yeah.
it's just the dude had too much health. He was too tanky. Like and he was doing enough damage where he could kill me, and Jet couldn't do anything about it really. After all his cooldowns were gone, there wasn't really a whole lot he could do like to stop it. So, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, maybe
Yeah,
it's
and
just it might just be a matchup thing where like Jet's really into the tanky supports right now,
well, I
or
don't really
the
think it's a matchup thing. I think it is a matchup thing partly, all right. But I think also there are ways to play around matchups. And I think this is where the low elo side of us come into play.
Mhm.
Um, or just the side that when we're playing the game. Um, I will say, like, even though we were playing against much better players in the first couple rounds of our flex, we were actually holding our own. I actually feel like we got a lot better because of that. I've noticed a lot of stuff that I've been doing, that I've been drastically improving or
Yeah,
whatever the
me
case may be.
too. I feel the
Um,
same way. Yeah.
so I say that to say like when we're in solo queue, and maybe it's just you and Jet, or it's just me and you, or whatever the case may be, or it's just Jet and him and I. Um, there are legitimate counters that do require actual team coordination, like
Yeah.
the 4-man dive thing. That that rarely happens in high elo, because people know how to counter 4-man dives, which is, I'm going to push the fuck out of a tower. I'm going to use my CS and my XP to my advantage. Like, there have been people who are legitimately freak out. Like, I'll be watching Tyler One stream where he plays like challengers and stuff like that. He got like 3 kills and he was like legitimately freaking out because he was like, I'm low on CS and I'm low on like experience. I got 3 kills, but like at what cost? So
Yeah.
it's like stuff like that where we have to like learn how to gauge the lead. And it's, even though we know how to gauge the lead, our teammates don't know how to gauge the lead.
Well,
There
that
may
game
be,
we had an antagonistic top, right? I think if we
yeah,
had a fifth person, we would have handled that game a little differently.
yeah,
And like I think the part where I got frustrated there was like there's nothing me and Jet can really do in that situation. We might play well enough to get a kill in that situation, but we're still gonna die, right?
mhm,
And that's okay. Like it's not a huge problem because I think if you remember, right, like I actually wasn't that behind, even though they had pushed all the way into our inhibitor. Like I was maybe 20 CS off the other ADC, and I wasn't like under leveled severely necessarily either compared to them. Um, but we just didn't push the advantage anywhere else in the map. Like you
yeah,
were pushing mid and you had gotten up to the second tower, and I think you took it late in the game, but it just wasn't enough to pressure them, enough
yeah.
to get
It
them
was
off of us.
it was too
And
late.
yeah, it was too late. But that Mundo didn't do anything, like he was just fucking, I don't know. He was just watching us and like making fun of us the whole time. It's
Yeah,
like, oh, y'all suck. Oh, y'all suck. Dude, like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, we have 4 people on us. Like, what do you mean we suck? It's like,
yeah, and
so,
it's just one of those things where it's like sometimes legitimate counter to a lane
yeah.
is you have to wait for your jungler. Like, that's a legitimate counter.
Yeah.
And like high elo, or even mid tier, I would just say mid tier elo. I don't even want to say high elo anymore. Mid tier elo would understand that is my counter. Or you're in bot lane and
Yeah.
yeah, your waves pushed in. You have to wait for your jungler, and a
Well,
good jungler will recognize that
I need to
I
be
have to go there.
better. I do think me and Jet need to be better about asking for jungle help. We don't really do that. I do notice though. I definitely notice the difference between like Salty playing jungle,
Hmm.
and Brad. Like Salty kind of knows when to come. Like
Yeah, yeah,
because I know I remember that game actually because I think he was our jungler in that game maybe or was it might have been a different game where I was similarly having a bad game. But I remember he like came over and dude, he was going out of his way to try to get me back into the game. Like he was holding my wave for me. He wasn't killing anything. Like
yeah, yeah,
like he was doing that kind of stuff. And that makes a big difference. So I don't know. But I'd say for myself, like I'm trying to pay more attention. Obviously, I'm trying to pay more attention to the map always. But it's in team fights though. The last few days that we've played, that I'm really feel like I'm trying to not die. Trying to play the outside of the fight a little bit more, and not be too aggressive and go in first or second, and you end up getting picked off because people are just, it's just when you pay attention, it's like people are waiting for you to join the fight, and then they
yeah,
just jump on you. So you kind of have to pick your spots a little bit better. So I'm trying to do that a little bit more. Um, you know, generally speaking, I feel like I the last couple nights we played, like I feel like I was doing really well, but I don't know. I want to play ranked more though. I'm kind of tired of norms. Like norms is just like it's just so like nobody cares. It's um like I don't feel like anybody's playing seriously. It's really like I feel like norms is my opportunity to just learn the mechanics of a character or something.
hmm,
That's why I've been playing Ez so much when we go norms because I'm trying to learn him. And it's I want to add him to the pool of characters that I play, but when we go into ranked, it's just like a totally different game.
yeah.
So,
I agree. It is one of those things you just probably gotta hop on. You probably have to do some solo ranked, or like just call one
Ugh.
of us and tell us to get in there.
Yeah,
Because
it's
that's
so
what me
hard
and
with
Jet.
bottom, dude.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
me and Jet do. We just do. I don't even play with him in bot lane anymore. Like it's just me and him, and he goes bot lane by himself, and I go mid lane.
Mm-hmm.
We usually genuinely win the games like that,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So
Yeah. All right. Other than League, I did start playing Cyberpunk 2077 this week. I put about 3 hours into it, and um, this game is weird. I am not drawn in quite yet. Um, did you ever beat it? How far did you get?
um, I'm so in the main game, I'm like one mission away. I'm literally on the last mission.
Okay,
In the main game.
gotcha.
But that's where Dogtown tells you. That's when people tell you to go into Dogtown DLC. So I'm doing
Yeah,
Dogtown DLC right now.
gotcha.
Um, but
Okay.
yeah,
So
it,
yeah, I'm in the early part of the game. Obviously, I did the I picked Corpo. I did the Corpo intro thing, and then I did the first mission, and I got kind of access to the open world, and I've been running around doing some random stuff. But I'm finding that the game it started really slow. I don't think the first couple missions are that great. Um, they're pretty straightforward, really linear. There's not a lot to find in them, and when you get access to the open world, they give you two missions you can choose from, and there's not a lot else that's available at that point in the game. I'm finding, so I'm kind of just like, I feel like I'm railroaded into doing the main story, which I had the same problem with Rebirth when I played that, where the game gives you like, I don't understand these open world games where they unleash you into the open world, right? And like everything's locked. Like you can't do anything yet though. You got to go do the next main mission in order to unlock the open world, like all the fucking collectibles and all the shit that pop. It's just like, I don't understand why companies design their open worlds this way. It's like, dude, if you're gonna let me in the open world, then let me in the open world. Like, let me do things in the open world, you know. So I feel like I feel like an idiot because I'm just like walking around and there's fucking nothing to do. There's no quests. There's nobody to talk to. Like,
can I ask you what part of the game you on right now? Like story wise?
I'm after the intro mission where you're fuck, can't really explain this without spoilers. Like you get into a
I
car
mean,
with a guy and he explains two jobs that you have to do, basically.
okay, yeah. You're to be honest with you, you're not spoiling anything.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Well,
you can explain. So you're with the guy with the gold hand.
yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're
I just
and you're
got out of the car and I spent about an hour running around,
okay. Yeah, you're
after
still
that.
with like T-bugging them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
Um.
like, it just feels like there's not anything to do. Like I have to go. I
Yeah.
feel like I have to go advance the story for things to
I
unlock.
I will say, Sun or Golden Trail. This part,
Yeah.
in my opinion,
Yeah.
uh, I don't think the intro is the strongest part of the game.
It definitely is not. That's what I'm
It's
getting
not.
at. It's not.
I think DJ will agree with me.
Yeah.
It is definitely the worst part of the game,
Yeah.
legitimately. And that's what turned me off the first time I played the game. Is the
Yeah.
first part of the game.
Okay.
Um, just
Well,
keep
because they're
going until you get
yeah.
to Act Two, in my
Okay.
opinion. Then the game starts to open up, and you get to do a lot more different things.
Oh, that's so annoying.
Yeah,
Why?
it's
Why even let you run around then? I don't like. I don't even understand. It's just. It's antithetical to the game you're making.
I think they're trying to do what they're trying to do is, in my opinion, you fight the Griffin in The Witcher, and then the
Yeah.
game opens up.
Yeah.
You remember how you get to the first village, you do a couple of the first village
Yeah,
quests.
but dude, it's not like that. That whole area has shit to do. There's side quests. There's question marks
Yeah.
you can go find. Like that's all available immediately. You don't have to fight the Griffin to unlock that shit.
That's
Like
true. But I think they're
that's
trying to
not.
make
That's
this their
this.
Griffin. I
No,
think
yeah, and they did it. They didn't learn from their own game because their own game didn't do it like this. Like I don't.
I think maybe they wanted to streamline the experience. So
Yeah.
this is what I'm thinking, right? Because if you go back and play The Witcher 3,
That That
particularly the
intro's
first.
big. It's long.
Yeah,
There's a lot to do in it. Like you can
yeah,
spend 5 or 6 hours there.
and I think this is their version of that. But I think the only reason they gave you 2 missions, right? You can do those 2 missions, and then you learn a little bit more about the game. You learn a little bit more about the mechanics of the game. But in my opinion, the game really doesn't open up until after
Mhm.
you complete the first 5 to, I think it's 5 to 10 hours is the
Yeah.
first act.
Wow.
If you go
Okay.
if you sunset it though, or if you golden path it, you can get past in like 2 hours or whatever the case may be,
Okay.
which I suggest. I don't
Well, that's
I
where
don't
I'm
s-
at. I
yeah,
was planning to do that next time I play. Is just do both
yeah.
of these missions
I
and keep
I
going.
per I personally don't suggest, because that's what I did. On my second playthrough, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get past this part because I legitimately don't give a fuck. I know what's gonna happen right here,
Yeah.
and I got past it, and then I went into it with an open mind, like, okay, DJ said, just fucking play the game, and to
Yeah.
be honest with you, yeah. After that part, I because I don't want to spoil anything for you, but so there's going to be a major event that happens. I'm not spoiling
Yeah,
anything.
I'm pretty sure I know what some part of what it is. I mean, it's
Yeah,
obvious, isn't it?
yeah.
But I
So
don't know. But
something's going to happen, and
yeah,
then after that happens, the game kind of opens up because it pissed me off as a player because I didn't know what to do.
yeah.
But I think that was the intention. The intention was like it was a poor execution, in my opinion. Just because the intention was there that doesn't mean it was good.
Well, it's bad
Um,
design.
yeah,
It's just bad
it was
design.
supposed to
Like
leave you in like, like, oh, I don't know what to do now and stuff like that. But um, like I said, some people can take that differently. It kind of opens up like almost like Breath of the Wild type situation where like now everything is yours or whatever. But unlike Breath of the Wild where the it's like immediate,
yeah.
this game kind of holds your hand. And like with The Witcher, right? It's like almost immediate. Even with the 4 or 5 question marks you get on The Witcher when you're first playing the game, this game kind of gates you and limits you to like one section of the area and everything of
Well,
that
it's
nature.
not an
Which
intro area. It's part of the city. That's
yeah,
the other difference. Where those two games were very specifically sectioned off. Like that the Great Plateau is the intro area, and then you're not really intended to go back to it after you leave it. And same with
mhm.
White Orchard, right? In the Witcher, there's specific areas that are meant as an intro. In this game, that is not the case. This area you're in is just one of the districts, and it just
Yeah, and I
happens to be blockaded.
Yeah, and I think that's what they meant for it to be. They meant
Yeah.
for it to be that. I just personally don't
But they
think.
already had an intro. This is what's annoying me. Like there's your intro that you choose, the background you choose, you get an intro mission there. And then you do the intro mission with Jackie where you're going through the fucking thing to save the girl in the bathtub, right? And then they let you in the open world, and then we're still in the intro? Like, what are we
Yeah,
doing here? Like, what
you
the fuck
still
are
are.
you
Yeah,
doing?
I
Like,
think they're really just trying to drill down what the world is like. Because there are a lot more elements to the world besides that.
and
Even
I'm
in the
I'm gonna
entrance, even in the
yeah,
intro, after you complete Act 1, the
yeah,
world opens up, and then and then even in like Act 3, it's like a whole different like thing, right? It's
yeah,
so it's the story is good in my opinion. I just what I told DJ as well. It's still an 8 out of 10 for me, or a 7, 8 out of 10 for me.
yeah.
Um, because of the way they introduce a lot of elements into the game. The lore is actually really fucking good.
It is.
I do like
Yeah,
the lore,
it is.
especially when you start reading the codex. You unlock a lot of things.
Mhm.
You start learning about the great corporal wars that
Yeah.
happened and how the world
Yeah.
was affected by it.
In
Um,
2023 or something like that is
yeah,
very interesting. No, and
yeah,
that was what I was going to comment on. Right, the corpo intro was really cool because there was a lot of lore just sitting around. Like, there's a lot of things you can read if you walk around and look for it.
mhm.
And clearly, like, the thing this game reminded me of immediately was Deus Ex. Like, the game just like kind of
That's
had that
actually a really
same
great comparison. Yeah,
it had
yeah,
that same vibe, right? It has that same vibe, especially the corpo opening definitely gives you this vibe more. I don't know about the other two, right?
yeah. I did the
But
Street Kid one.
it's very clean. It's got that very futuristic corpo look, and all that and everything. And it's a lot of technology that you're dealing with, which, cyberpunk, like Deus Ex is not cyberpunk. that's not the genre it's in, but it still has they're kind of adjacent to each other, you know. So I felt that at first, and they did a great job in the corpo opening. Like you have you had a desk in the building that you could go to. That's such an interesting touch to add. Like you could go, I like went into it, and you can go read your email. You can read like news on the net, you know, and shit like that. Like they have all this shit there that you can go look through. Like it's a lot. There's a lot of detail there, and that when you're making an RPG like this, that's super important. And they clearly took the time and effort to put all that in, right?
Yeah.
And that's clear from the jump. This is a AAA game. Like, don't get me wrong about that, you know. But the part I'm criticizing here is if you're
Look
gonna
at
make an
that
open world
intro.
game, if you're gonna make an open world game and you want to introduce people to your world, you don't do it by railroading them and locking off the open world. Like the way people learn about the world is walking around it. Not the missions you're doing, you know? Like the main story is not shouldn't be your primary vehicle of introducing people to the lore and the world and all that shit, you know?
Yeah.
Um that you should let them find that on their own. That's what great open world games do. That's what great RPGs do. Most RPGs, they don't throw the lore in your face. You know, that's not what they do. It's usually hidden around, and you need to go find it, and you need to want to read it, and you do it on your own. You know, and if you don't want that, you don't have to have that. But I feel like they got mixed up here because it's really frustrating. Like I don't really want to do the main mission right now, but I don't have a choice because there's nothing else to do. So I'm like, so yeah, it's just because I want to like level up a little bit, you know, and getting into that side of things, like I'm really excited about this game as an RPG because looking at the kind of the character equipment, the different you know mechanical things you can put on your body and all that stuff, all the augments that you can put, that shit's fucking awesome. And then the skill trees, they look really deep and interesting, and there's some really cool build paths you can. It looks like you're going to be able to do in this game. I'm probably gonna. I think you were doing katanas, right? Like melee. I'm pretty
Uh,
sure I'm gonna follow the same path.
I did so
Um,
many different things, man. I have like
yeah,
a katana melee build, but I'm more so like I call it the Neo build. I can
hmm
slow down time,
yeah,
shoot my gun, slide, jump over
yeah.
missiles and
I'm
stuff like
kind of
that.
gonna do something like that. Yeah, I've been
Okay.
looking through the tree, and I'm like, I don't want to shoot guns in this game as my primary vehicle of fighting. You know, that just sounds so fucking boring. I can play a shooter in any. There's fucking there's shooters everywhere, right? So I'm gonna play a game like this. Like I'm gonna probably explore the melee builds and go that route more than likely. But it's just like it's exciting though. There's it's overwhelming at the same time. There's a ton of shit you can customize. There's the body augments. There's the actual weapon and equipment components like that you can put in your gear. The modifications you can put in your gear. There's the actual skill tree as well. I'm sure
Well,
there may be things I haven't unlocked
you
yet
can play
too.
like a spellcaster type
Yeah.
build. Like I did do like a
Well,
almost
there's the hacking as well.
yeah, the
Yeah.
hacking is pretty much spellcasting, and I did play that build for a while, and it's super fucking fun.
Yeah.
It almost made me want to respect my entire thing because I'm like
Yeah.
hacking is super powerful in the game,
Yeah.
and the things you can do with it uh, is crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I like I said, just I say it's one of those
I gotta
games
power
where you
through it. I
yeah
just
you
gotta
gotta
power
power
through it,
through
right?
it. Yeah, it's one of those
Yeah.
games where you just gotta power through it. I would say it's probably DJ's Xenoblade, where it's one of those games where you have to just power through it and then you
You know
understand
he's
it.
gonna he's gonna have some feedback.
Yeah, yeah, it's a Xenoblade for sure, and I can
Yeah.
definitely. And if he told me if it's his Xenoblade, I wouldn't argue with him because I can definitely see it. The game definitely
Yeah.
has that potential to be
Yeah.
when people the people that stay in this game that just love this game, I understand it now. I'm like, I get it. For the people that
Well,
hate the game, though, I can
yeah.
understand it as well. Like, I
I
get why
know.
you hate the game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because there's some really cool things I'm already running into, right? I was like, I decided to, because there was a mission, there was a side mission I had. I had to go like pick up a gun from a guy, and it was like 800 meters away or whatever, which is pretty far. So I decided to walk instead of driving the car. So what I just wanted to see the city and like see, you know, NPCs walking around and what they would do, and like if there are any vendors I could find, maybe I'd run into a quest. I didn't really run into a whole lot, but one of the things that happened though when I was running was I just started crossing the street, right? Like, you're playing a video game. You don't think about that, you know? And I got fucking ran over, dude. Like a car fucking hit me and I fell on the ground and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like, and they're like honking their horn at me and shit. And it's like, okay, this is interesting. Like there's a little like immersion there in that way. Like you can't just blindly run around. I'm sure at some point you probably get like a fucking triple jump and you can jump over the entire road, or some shit. But right now, I'm not powerful like that. So I'm like, the rest of the journey, I'm walking around and I'm like looking at both ways before I go across the street, like I don't want to get hit again. Like I took damage, so it's like, it's funny. Like that is a really cool touch though. I like that. Like they're trying to make it feel real, and they don't want to make traversal trivial either. Like that is interesting. I think that's interesting for a game to do. Because a lot of games ignore that kind of thing, right? Like they just gloss over that stuff. Those are small details that who cares, but to me that was like an eye-opening, like, oh, okay, that's what this game is a little bit more, so there was also the arcade machines and stuff. Did you ever mess with those where they had
No, I
the
didn't.
Contra ripoff? Like they
No,
have
I
a
didn't mess
Contra
with it.
game that you can play and it has like levels. I don't know how far it goes. I did like 4 of the levels and then I was like, all right, I'm enough of this. And then there's like a platforming game where you're a horse and you have to you have to just like, it's like an auto runner. Like it automatically moves to the right for you and you have to like jump over obstacles and stuff and accrue points. And that one was really fucking hard for some reason. Like I just couldn't do it. I suck at platformers. I'm so fucking bad at them. But so there's cool stuff like that too, which is interesting. Also I found a like an ATM when I was walking. That's one other thing I found. I found an ATM and I was able to hack it, right? But what was cool was I got to choose how I wanted to hack it. Like what I wanted to get out of hacking it. Like, was it just money that I wanted? Did I want crafting components, or did I want like, there was like I think they're like the augment components or something for your hack skills or something like that. And you can only do like 2 of them. You couldn't do all 3 of them necessarily, or maybe there is a way and I just didn't figure it out, right? But but I only unlocked 2 of them, and once you did it, you couldn't interact with the ATM again. Like it went blank at that point, which is interesting. So there's like cool stuff like that in the game too. So I'm certainly intrigued. I'm just getting annoyed by the railroadiness of the beginning of it, so but I'm sure I'll get over that once I get through these missions and the game opens up a bit and I start kind of unlocking the build I want to do and and all that. So I will continue the game. I'm definitely into it for sure. I'm waiting for it to suck me in though. I'm waiting to hit that moment where I'm like, oh, I can't get enough of this game. I just need to play it.
So I think you need to just play it without trying to reach that moment. You got to reach it organically.
Yeah.
Which is why I didn't tell anybody I was playing the game. I just started playing it, and then I was like, I see it now. So I'm not going to tell you when. I'm just going to give you some advice and just like, just play it. It may never happen for you, or it may happen for you immediately.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have an expectation that there's like a specific moment I'm waiting for or anything like that. It's just, sometimes these things click, sometimes they don't. It depends on the game, right? So, all right. Fair enough. We'll talk about that more as I play it more, but let's get into the news. We have a ton of fucking news this week. So, last week, this happened, I think right after we recorded, or I don't remember. It might have been the day after we recorded. But Game Informer has been shut down. It is gone for good. There were 13 employees. They all got let go last week, and to pour salt in the wound, GameStop decided to delete the X account and has basically deleted all of the posts that ever existed on the Game Informer website, which is just unbelievably heinous. Like, so GameStop released a statement on the X account at first, and it seemed very fake. People are joking that it was written by Chat GPT, which it very well might be. But then somebody who worked on the Game Informer staff got a hold of the account. They still had the account info. They logged into it and posted an actual goodbye. And then after that, that's when GameStop nuked the account and deleted it. It's just gone. So 33 years of games coverage just poofed out of
Gone.
existence. Poofed out of existence. Yep, gone. So Montreal, I mean, how'd you take this, right? Like I don't know how into Game Informer you necessarily were. Like was it a big thing in your when you were younger, or
Oh
did you
yeah,
ever kind of have a phase with it?
yeah. I always had their membership. Every time I went to go to the GameStop or Funko to
Yeah.
buy new game, they're like, "Hey, you want to get this membership or whatever?" And I'll get it, and then I'll get Game Informer sent to my house
Yeah.
all the time. Uh, to the point it was like it was weird for me not to get a Game Informer magazine, so I would literally sometimes go out my way to go to GameStop again to sign up, not for the obviously for the good discounts and stuff like that,
Yeah.
for the used games and stuff, but the Game Informer themselves or whatever. Especially back in the day, like when I got like 18 to 20, the Game Informer started getting a little flimsy and they weren't really as good. I'll be
Hmm.
honest. But like during like years of me being 10 to like 20,
Yeah.
I would say like those were like the golden years, or maybe even younger than that. Those were the golden years because they were just always come out because technology was new and people don't understand the jump from like the PS1 to the PS2 or the PS1 to like the Dreamcast era. That
Yeah.
was like significant for us,
Hmm.
and I don't think a lot of people understand the limitless potential we thought games had. Um, and or frankly what people take not advantage of but take for granted lately. um like like Fortnite, it was a dream to us. Like if
Yeah.
you showed me
Yeah.
Fortnite 10
Oh
years old,
my
like
god.
if I was 10 years old and you showed me Fortnite, my mind would literally blow up. Like I couldn't fucking imagine it at all. Like what are
Yeah.
you talking about? Like what the fuck is this? Even Super Smash Brothers may Ultimate Super Smash Brothers. Like that would blow my mind that Bayonetta is in the same game as Cloud. At like
Yeah.
15,
Yeah.
you would have never told. I would have never
Yeah.
even thought of something happening like that or whatever.
Hmm.
So it's like, or even a game like Bayonetta existing in general. Um,
Right.
so yeah, like GameStop put me onto a lot of stuff. Like I said, if it wasn't for GameStop, I would never play Monster Hunter, and it was just a simple ad on the back of a Game Informer magazine, and I was like, "Oh, this
Hmm.
game looks fun." I went to GameStop. They had one left because Monster Hunter wasn't popular, so they had one left in the PS2, which was the very first Monster Hunter, and I almost took it back until I beat the Yayan Kutku. Um,
Yeah.
After that, I was a Monster Fiend. So I definitely owe GameStop a lot of a lot, or not GameStop, but yeah, even GameStop. Yeah, I have the old GameStop and Game Informer a lot to my gaming upbringing, and even online, we used articles from Game Informer all the time, and everything of that nature. So if you go back to past episodes, you legitimately will not be able to look at that source unless you go to like archive.org, which is actually I think it's a government entity or something like that.
Yeah.
Um and then you have to search, specifically Game Informer, and they have all the Game Informer stuff cataloged. And I actually donated to the site because I think stuff like that needs to be preserved.
Yeah, but it might not all be there in the form it
It was
was.
originally like,
Yeah,
yeah,
right. So it's unfortunately it's kind of an incomplete archive,
yeah,
which is why GameStop can get fucked with this. Like, I
yeah.
just
So when
yeah.
GameStop just shut. I thought they were going to leave the website open, like or just have it
Why
archived to where you
wouldn't
can.
they? I don't understand. Like,
Uh,
I don't know. Corporate leaders are the worst, man. Like they're the worst kind of person.
yeah. So this was actually like my biggest fear of what's happening right now.
Yeah.
It's almost like uh gentrification, but for video games and the internet.
Yeah.
Because like you're just wiping off culture
Yeah.
um out of existence. Like this is culture you're wiping out. Oh, and maybe this is how old people felt like when their neighborhoods were getting like changed or they seen stuff changing around them and stuff like that, and they can't really
Mm,
stop it.
mhm.
Uh, yeah, I feel like a digital old person because we were legitimately. I think we are the first people to be on the internet, the first children to be on the internet. Was millennials, and now we're just seeing the digital neighborhoods get tore down and replaced with
Well,
other stuff.
yeah, we're probably the oldest, or sorry, we're probably the youngest generation that was still around when the internet wasn't a thing, right?
Yeah,
Um, most of the generations after us were too young. They grew up in a world where the internet pretty much existed and like permeated through life.
yeah.
But for us, like we lived through the 90s, and the internet was prevalent in the 90s, but it wasn't, it was kind of an underground thing for a while
Yeah, it
in there.
definitely was.
I didn't personally start using it until late 1999, so until I was 10. So there's a whole 10 years of my life where I never used the internet.
Same.
Um,
Actually, yeah, literally the
so
same. Yeah.
yeah, and I didn't use it a lot until the early 2000s, probably like 2000, 2001, so
Yep.
so it's like there's a huge amount of time there where I didn't grow up with it and I just lived without it, and it's such a weird time to think back on because I can't even imagine. It's kind of even hard to imagine what a day was like sometimes. Where you get off from school and it's like, dude, you're not on your phone reading a Twitter post or reading the news. There's no vehicle to do that. It's
I think
like,
it's like freeing, man. Like used to get home.
yeah,
We were on schedules, remember? Like we got
yeah,
home. If you got home at 3 o'clock, you can still catch some some
TV,
uh
yeah,
some cartoons before 5 o'clock happened. The 5 o'clock
hmm
news comes on, you
or
know.
Toonami before five
Yeah,
o'clock Toonami hour.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um you can still catch that. And then obviously if you had cable, yeah, Toonami will be on and they'll roll their cartoons out until like maybe 6 or 7 or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, or whatever the case may be. So I don't know. I think it was and then you would do homework, dinner, and then you probably play your game until bedtime happens or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
So like I think we were on a schedule. Uh
Yeah.
you can debate whether it was a healthy schedule or not, but we
Well,
were on
TV
this.
trained us definitely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of stuff did go by TV. I knew like at 5 o'clock if The Simpsons came on, it was like 5 o'clock on certain channels or whatever. Whatever the
I
case may
remember that
be.
feeling where you would feel urgency, right? It's like 4:45 and you're like, you might be eating or something and you're like, fuck, I need to finish and get upstairs.
Yeah, exactly.
Um so it's like you feel that, or if you needed to go to the bathroom, like you would wait because you can't tape it. Like there's no rerun. You're not getting a rerun of it. Like if you miss it, it's gone. It's not. You're not getting it. I remember there were episodes. There are episodes of like DBZ, right, that you like didn't see because you, for whatever reason, you couldn't be home that day to watch it.
Exactly. Yep.
So you have you come home the next day and you're like, fuck, what happened? Oh my god, Goku showed up and fucking wrecked Raccoon. What the fuck? It's like, so it's just, it was a different time, right? We live differently.
Yeah.
But for me, the thing I think about most is I wasn't big on Game Informer personally. I definitely subscribed to the magazine at certain points randomly in time, but I wasn't ever like super into it. But when I was a kid, dude, these magazines were like my fucking world. They were my gateway into video games.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like, dude, Electronic Gaming Monthly was
Oh
my
my god.
shit,
That
bro.
shit
That
was
was my
good.
fucking shit. And then of course there was Nintendo Power. There's one called Game Pro that I remember. This is a weird one that I can't even visualize what that one looks like, but I remember Game Pro, that name. And then there's like the PlayStation magazine,
Yep.
and I'd mentioned Nintendo Power, and then Computer Gaming World. I don't know if you remember that one either. So there are all of these magazines, dude, and it's like they were just kind of the window into games. But Nintendo Power and Electronic Gaming Monthly were the two big ones for me, probably. And then once I kind of got the internet, like the wonder of that wore off at a certain point, after a few years, where I just was like, I don't need to read a magazine anymore, which is kind of sad because I think about it now and I'm like, man, I'd kill to go back to those
Yeah.
times,
Exactly.
where that's how you got your information, because it's just like everything's at your fingertips now.
Yeah.
We know everything instantly. So that's kind of the sad part for me, is it just kind of brings back that nostalgia. But at the same time, I think the other thing with Game Informer that everybody needs to remember is like just how big of a force it was in games media for ever, like the last 20 years probably, because it was the big magazine in games. And publishers would give it preferential treatment because of the Game Informer cover, like that was like the thing.
Yep.
And that had a disproportionate reach because of GameStop, and publishers even up till recently were still giving them cover stories and giving them access and exclusive stories and information about games coming up, and they would get games way earlier than anybody else too, to get the review in the magazine for a specific month. So that was kind of a big part of Game Informer, just their influence in the industry, which was super interesting to think about, because it's like even into the 20 teens, Game Informer, a fucking print magazine, is still getting the best kind of coverage, in the industry at times. So um, definitely an interesting part of it. So, but
Yeah, it's it's sad that they did this. I don't I this is
13 people. I mean, they couldn't have been paying. It couldn't have cost them much, right? It's kind of weird. Like, what
I
did
don't
they
know,
really
man.
save by doing this?
It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. This is just my whole thing with digital media and being controlled by corporations. I just don't like it. I mean, a lot of people probably don't see the value in it right now,
Hmm.
but if their favorite thing just ups and disappears, then maybe they'll have a little bit more to say. I think the same thing would happen if Twitter gets shut down. In my opinion, a lot of people
Mm,
made friends on there. A lot of people made forums and whole communities thrive on there, and it's almost like Tumblr in a way where if that just shuts down or changes, like where are those people gonna go? You know? So
yeah,
I don't know. That's
right.
just my take on it. It sucks. I don't like it. I don't like that um corporate interests can control literally a huge uh a huge part of art and culture is just gone now. It's just it's not fair. I understand this business, but it's not fair, in my opinion. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it probably demonstrates how dark things are in GameStop's world, right?
yeah,
That they felt the need to do this to 13 people and shut this whole enterprise down. Um, because yeah, I don't know. So who knows? But you know, see you later, Game Informer. You will be missed. So I did find while we were talking though, there's this website called the Video Game History Foundation. Oh, it's on my Shopify. You can subscribe to a vintage video game magazine monthly subscription for $20 a month, and you get a random magazine from 1982 all the way through 2012. Um, and it would be from any of the major magazines, which is hilarious. It's kind of an interesting idea, but it's probably a ripoff ultimately. Um, all right, Montreal. Let's move on to our next story, which is following up on all the Bungie stuff from last week. I got a couple items that came out of all that. Jason Schreier was um, talking on Twitter about all this, and he mentioned to somebody that Bungie was never actually working on Destiny 3. The game was never that game, Destiny 3 was never actually in development over at Bungie. And there was a game called Payback that was supposed to be a spin-off side project that was going to make the game third person and kind of adopt some things from maybe games like Warframe and Genshin Impact, and kind of change the formula up maybe. But that game's no longer in development at this point, and there is no Destiny 3. So the situation for Bungie is they are working on Destiny 2 and Marathon. That's it. There's nothing else. Anything else that they were working on that is being kept is getting moved over to Sony, basically. So, Montreal, I mean, what do you think this means for Bungie's future, though? That I mean, they're kind of tied to Destiny 2, which is a 7-year-old game at this point, in a 10-year-old franchise. And then Marathon, which is kind of an unknown. I know there's a lot of people hyped about it, but it's an extraction shooter, multiplayer only game. Feels like a pretty risky gamble. It's not necessarily going to be a huge hit.
Yeah, I don't know. Destiny 3 not happening is okay with me. I kind
Yeah.
of figured with the final shape, this was going to be the final Destiny. There is no Destiny 3.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I kind of feel like they didn't even want to be honest with you, they shouldn't have even done a Destiny 2. It should have
No.
just been Destiny.
Which they didn't have a choice, right?
Yeah,
That was because of the Activision contract.
exactly. So, because honestly, when Destiny 2 released, a lot of people don't remember, it was so undercooked compared to Destiny
Yeah.
1. I didn't even play Destiny 2 for the first 3 months it came out. 3 or 4 months it came out.
Well, it was similarly undercooked to Destiny 1. Destiny 1 was also undercooked,
Oh
which I
yeah, yeah.
feel like people forget.
It was super undercooked, but then it became one of the, in my opinion, like a really great live service shooter. It was really, it had its formula. It knew what it was doing. When I think it was called the Siva, when the Siva expansion came out, which I think was the last one, either the Rise of Iron or Siva expansion. When that came out, yeah, Destiny was firing on all cylinders, and then Destiny 2 came out. It was the same.
It was a reset.
Yeah, it was a reset. It was a huge reset.
Yeah. Because all the content, anything you had done in Destiny 1 totally was wiped out.
Yep.
You had to make a new character. You had to level it up again. There was a new campaign. The game played differently. Like gear didn't work the same way. There was all sorts of changes and shit, which was really controversial for the game actually at the time, from what I remember. Like Destiny 2 had a really rocky start. It took a while for it to reestablish itself.
Which is
That
why a
was
lot of people dropped it,
yeah.
including me. Like I bought the game. Yeah,
I
you
played
had
it
to
for a
buy
month and was like, whatever, dude. It's not that
you
fun.
had to buy the game, y'all. It wasn't free to play. Like
Right.
Yep. So
yeah. So does this surprise me? I guess not necessarily. I don't really know if Bungie wants to be tied to Destiny forever, but that's what they're doing to themselves right now, though, is that in the short term, I mean, they are tied to Destiny,
I think they dug themselves deep, dug themselves a hole with this game. Which is really funny because that's why they got away from Halo. They didn't want to be known as the Halo guys, and they did the exact same thing with Destiny.
Yeah.
They're the Destiny guys now, and I think the money was just too good, and they just started seeing dollar signs, and they just couldn't stop. It was a disease for them, or actually a drug rather for them.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think a lot of their future is going to hinge on how Marathon really does. If it doesn't pop the way they probably need it to, I could see them truncating the studio even more, and then I don't know, pivoting to something else. I mean, they're in a weird spot, dude. Because if Marathon doesn't work out, then their only revenue source is a game that's kind of crested over its sunset, right? Like past sunset at this point. So it's like, what? I don't know. Like, what do you do at that point to make money? So they just seem like they're in trouble. Like, a lot's really riding on Marathon. That game better be great, like very great. We'll see. But this came with other news that Bungie may have, and this was part of a newsletter from Stephen Totillo's website on GameFile. This is his. I think he runs this by himself. And he basically reported that Bungie leadership overstated the studio's financial prospects to Sony, which resulted in the purchase, but then also led to them needing to lay a ton of people off. And things got so bad at the end of last year that they planned the layoffs early this year, knowing that they would have to lay more people off after the final shape released. regardless of basically how it did, that's how deep in they were financially, like how bad of a shape they were in. And he also mentioned that the final shape actually sold worse than Lightfall, which is a big yikes given the critical reception to the final shape. Because yeah, Lightfall was one of the worst received pieces of Destiny content ever, and it seems like it did a lot of damage to the game ultimately, um, resulting in much lower player numbers and with the final shape. Um, so yeah, Montreal, Sony, Sony. No matter what way you slice this, whatever Bungie did, Sony got hoodwinked. No matter what you're looking at here, whether they were told the truth or not, they clearly didn't look deep enough at the financials of Bungie, and Bungie, despite what anybody wants to say, Bungie would be in jeopardy of not being around if it wasn't for Sony acquiring them. So let's not get that twisted either.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, Montreal, what do you think about all this?
Uh, I remember at the time when they got Sony, or when they got with Sony, even me and you were like, I don't know
Yeah,
about like we didn't think they were that worth that much money.
definitely
At
not, dude.
all.
I mean, this is literally half of what Microsoft paid for Bethesda. Like an entire publisher with multiple studios, multiple IPs. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know?
I didn't think they were worth that much money. I thought what they were gonna do was force Bungie to start making shit,
Yeah.
and they didn't.
They didn't do that.
Like they
Right.
didn't do that. So that's why I thought, I'm like, okay, maybe they have something in the works where like, yo, you have to make us at least 2 or 3 IPs worth of stuff, and it just never came to fruition at all. Um, I don't know. I mean, I'm not surprised that they cooked their books to make themselves look better. I'm not saying they cooked their books like illegally, but like, prop themselves up. 'Cause this was during the time where everyone was getting acquired. So
Yeah.
honestly, like, I guess if I was in their position and I really wanted to get the maximum dollar, I probably would do the same thing too if I thought like that. I don't really think like
They
that,
got
but
wrapped up in that though, and then they wrapped themselves up in the whole live service push that Jim Ryan was getting them in,
yeah,
And to think that resulted in this, which then resulted in The Last of Us Online not happening, ultimately. And it's just, this has been a disaster for Sony all around. Like this acquisition is one of the worst. It's gonna be the worst acquisition in their history, probably.
yeah, for
When
sure.
it's all said and done. Especially if they can't salvage Bungie, like, and Bungie ends up closing, or they end up closing Bungie, or spinning them off and letting them go independent again. Which, how would they even do that if they don't have cash flow? It's I don't know. It's just a really bad situation. They should have never acquired this company. It's clear that after they did, it became very apparent very quickly that they were pivoting away from live service already,
Yep.
and making the acquisition completely pointless as a result. And I mean, that's a massive amount of money, right? Like, this isn't Microsoft, right? Sony is not Microsoft. 3.6 billion is a lot of money for them. And it's not anything that's going to break them, necessarily either. Like, they are a large company, they make a ton of money, right? But at the same time, it's not negligible either. And whiffing this hard on that kind of purchase is a big deal for them. So, um, I don't know. I mean, we're going to continue to pay attention to this. Obviously, we'll cover it more if more stuff comes out. But I just don't know. I don't really know what does Sony do in this situation, do you think? Like, do you think they need to come in? Like, how long do you think before Sony comes in and just takes over, like, leadership wise?
There was an article that just actually came out. I was watching a video. I don't have the link to the article, but their CFO, or not their CFO, who's their new guy again? The guy that took over Jim Ryan's position.
It's Herman Holston. Fuck, I forget the other guy.
The Japanese, the
You're talking about
Japanese one.
Hiroki
Yeah,
Totoki.
Hiroki Totoki.
Yeah.
He actually was like, they're pretty much gonna the Sony Entertainment team, or SIE, I believe. They're gonna take over like some of the Destiny stuff or whatever, and also work on Marathon, and then they're gonna try to let Bungie remain autonomous autonomous for a while.
Mm,
But I think from what it sounds like, he's just like, you're about to absorb them, like straight up. They're about to
yeah.
be absorbed. And I think it just needs to happen at this point.
Well, you
Um,
remember him talking about accountability earlier in the year for Bungie, right?
yep.
Like they need to take financial accountability of their own, and it sounds like the CEO, I'm forgetting the dude's name, but Bungie's CEO was really under the gun late last year from Sony, was getting a lot of pressure from Sony because I think because the article mentions that he knew they had to do two rounds of layoffs to really prove to Sony that they were taking their financial situation seriously, you know, which is interesting, very interesting to say the least. So, um, yeah, I don't know. It's they're in a rough spot, but I think Sony, obviously this acquisition was bad. The whole push into live service just was complete, absolute, unmitigated disaster on their front too. With how they handled The Last of Us Online, and then we're seeing with Concord, dude. Like this game just seems DOA, right? Unfortunately, it just like nobody's into it, and everybody's just memeing on it at this point. It feels like they made a really critical error in here, allowing themselves to be convinced that The Last of Us Online wasn't going to be viable, that they couldn't figure out a way to make the live service aspect of it work into the future. Is it's just so disappointing to think about that we lost a game like that sounded like actually really cool, and they couldn't figure out a way to make it work where Naughty Dog didn't have to fucking completely change who they are. Like they could have used some of the money that they spent on fucking Firehawk and spun up like a support studio or something to support The Last of Us Online going forward. And you have like a small team within Naughty Dog who kind of leads that whole train, and kind of they set the standard of what they want and they make sure that it lives up to Naughty Dog's standard, or whatever. Like you could have figured something like that out, but they didn't. They went in these directions instead, and they're just not working out. So is what it is. All right. Anything else you want to say about Bungie?
No, they just need to get their shit together. Especially when I mean them, I mean the upper management and the executives. They just need to get their shit together.
Yep. Fair enough. All right. Moving on. Montrell. Capcom was talking in a Q&A. This was a summary of their shareholder meeting, their 45th shareholder meeting, in fact. And they said that they predict 93% of their sales this year will be digital. 93%. Let me repeat that. 93% of their sales will be digital. Physical is dead, bro. Which is funny. I'm saying that because Capcom actually said after saying that number, that percentage, that they're not going to stop producing physical games. So good on them. But, you know, it's looking really bleak for physical games.
Yeah, it is looking bleak. Damn, that sucks. 93%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think people respect. I don't even think it's a respect thing. It's more of a convenience because there's really nowhere to get physical games anymore besides Amazon
You can get them at
and,
Target
and
or
Target. Yeah.
Walmart. Yeah. There's a few places. It's just GameStop's dying, so I don't expect them to be around too much longer. They did say that this past year in 2023, the 2023 fiscal year, that 90.1% of their sales were digital. So that's an actual real number. It's not a projection. So yeah, that's significant. I mean, that is an insanely significant number. So it's just a matter of time, right? I feel like we're very fast approaching the point where there's not going to be a disc drive in our next console. I don't know if Sony's going to quite do it with PS6, but by PS7, most definitely they'll be all digital. There will not be a disc drive.
Yeah.
I would guess. So, yeah, man. I don't know. I still like physical games, but I will say, like, I mean, I've said this on the show before, right? More recently, I have been buying some of my games digital, certain ones, it's like, it is more convenient. I don't have to wait for it. I just buy it and download it and play.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat the convenience of it, and that's kind of the point, unfortunately.
That's our world, isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
but it's just like I don't know if a company just goes under, then we just lose all those games. Like, there's no way to get those games back
Um.
unless another company comes in and buys it.
Yeah, right. No, somebody would have to come in and either buy the company in question or buy the IP, which would include the rights to sell the game and all that.
Well,
Um.
I think the scary part about it is too, if you do buy it physical, you still have to plug in the disc because it has to link to the server to download the game.
Right.
So even if you do buy the
Most
disc,
physical games aren't even really physical anymore.
yeah, exactly.
It's fake. It's like
Even
a
though
fake
they,
thing. Yeah.
I think even though they do have a new Blu-ray technology that has a huge
Bigger
space,
size.
yeah,
Yeah.
bigger size, but they're not using it.
Who cares? Yeah, like we no, like consumers aren't. It's not going to be used in the consumer space probably as much. That feels like some kind of business thing maybe, but I don't know. We'll see. When we get to the point in a couple of years where Capcom's talking about 97 or 98% of their sales are digital, like, oh my god, it'll really be dire at that point for physical games. So, I mean, this kind of indicates though that who's even left to fight for this, dude. Like, people aren't. They're folding. Everybody's folding, man. Like, people are just folding. You're buying your games digital. It's clear. The numbers are here. Um. So yeah. All right. Let's move on to our next story. SAG-AFTRA, the video game voice actor union in the video game industry. They are striking once again. And this time, this started on last Friday or 2 weeks ago. Sorry, 2 Fridays ago on July 26th. And they're doing it because of AI. They want protections against AI replacing voice actors or imitating voice actors or being used in place of voice actors. And we've been talking about AI on the show. And I'm going to be honest, Montreal, I actually kind of side with the voice actors here on this one. This is, if you're going to do it, you need to do it now.
Why'd you say like I'm on the side of AI?
What?
I said, why'd you say it like I'm on the side of AI? Like I'm be honest with you, Montreal. I'm on the side of voice actors. I know off screen you love AI.
AI sympathizer over here. No, I don't know. I'm just being dramatic, right? But dude, if they're gonna do it, isn't now the time? I mean, you have to do this early, right?
Yeah, no, I think this is the same thing with the Taylor Swift situation. Remember last year or the year before last, maybe was it last year when all the AI photos of her were popping up?
I think so. Yeah.
And she had to like sue AI companies for using her likeness and stuff like that. I think it takes someone like that to get people to look into all this stuff, because that shit was running rampant until she got on the scene, and then I actually died down a lot on Twitter, and the internet in general with the deep fake and stuff like that. It became really taboo to use deep fake and everything. Even though certain people still use it, but yeah, like I think this is another thing where the AI, I just don't know where we're going with this. The whole point of AI was to make our lives easier, right? I think we can all agree with that. I think the idea of having an AI assistant, every person having an AI assistant, I think that's a net positive to be, especially in the tech world. Or I don't really consider IT the tech world. I hate when people say I'm in the tech world because it sounds so pretty.
We're like, I agree with. I know what you mean. Like, we're not in like we're not like advancing technology, right? Like, that's not the industry we're in, right?
Yeah, I mean, so I would say blue collar tech work. So
sure, yeah.
So we're blue collar tech work, and it would actually help us a lot, especially like when we're building scripts and we're editing our own PowerShell scripts and all the other stuff like that. I think AI is wonderful in that aspect. It would be a cool assistant. It's everything, or it should be everything I want Siri to be. That being said, I don't understand why we're using this to take over art. Like
Yeah.
it literally just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. People are trying to make movies out of it. People are trying to make whole. Someone made a whole Avengers trailer with the new information that came out with Robert Downey Jr. and everything like that.
Yeah.
People are making music, um, and everything out of it with like existing artists' voices and stuff like that. Or especially like in hip hop and stuff, they're trying to push this AI wave and everything of that nature. Um, I just think the concept is like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see voice actors getting, because when they showed that shit at I don't know if it was the Summer Games Fest or um it was during the summertime where they showed the guy walk into like a bar or something like that, video game character. I think it was ran by Nvidia, and the entire characters, all the characters were fucking AI based, and you
Yeah.
can have a full blown conversation with them. And they're like, "This is the next step of gaming, where you can have a full conversation." And the AI characters had voices and everything, and they sound like real people talking to you. And it's like, how are you going to get those voices? You're going to like record other people, and it's like, no, all they have to do is like have an AI
Yeah.
read models of existing games that already exist, and then you can
Yeah.
just copy it. Like
Right.
imagine, knock on wood, like the voice actor Master Chief dying, or like the voice actor of the Arbiter,
Well,
or
Lance Reddick, right?
yeah,
That's a good example.
just imagine that happening. And Lance Reddick, yeah, you're right. Lance Reddick is a really good example of that. Imagine he already passed, God rest his soul,
Right.
and it's like they can just AI his voice now. Like there's so much material that he worked on where
And
the AI
should
model,
they do that? Right. That's
they
the
should
yeah.
not be able to do that
Right.
unless it's signed off by the family and they get royalties for it. And I'm not talking about pennies. They actually get, every time that voice is used, they get a substantial amount of money, and they would never do that. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Well, two things I want to hit on there. So the first one is you mentioned the character walking into the tavern or whatever and having conversations with a bunch of AI characters. So that conceptually is such an exciting idea for games, right? For like RPGs where
yeah,
you can have like a dynamic conversation with an NPC and it's not some scripted thing, like it's actually dynamically reacting to the things you're saying in the game. Um, that is an advancement that would revolutionize video games, right?
yep, I agree.
However, however, it inherently has to come at the expense of voice actors because if you cannot predict what the AI is going to say, you can't record the lines, right? So the only way to do that is to let the AI project the voice, create the voice and like create the audio, right? So that is problematic. That's a hurdle that I don't really know how they're going to get over that. And if we can, I don't know. They're probably not going to get over the hurdle, right? The shortest solution is to just cut out the voice actors, right? It's like that would unfortunately. So it's exciting on one hand, but on the other, it's like that sucks, right? The second thing I want to say is to kind of explain, I guess, why I think this is happening. Because you kind of asked that question in there. I think it's two things really. Is number one, from the top level, the executive level, this is going to be cheaper ultimately than hiring voice actors, doing mocap. You don't need a mocap studio. You don't need a fucking recording studio. You have full control over everything that's said in the game. You can create it all yourself. You don't need to work with a union. You don't need to do any of these things. It makes the creation of the game way easier from the company's perspective. So of course executives are into this, right? Cutting costs and saving money and having more control over their products, right? Number one. Number two is that I think from the bottom level, going all the way down to the consumer side, is I think the reason consumers aren't into this is that it's lowering or don't care as much is that it's lowering the barrier to entry for them to create as well, right?
Hmm.
You mentioned somebody making that trailer. I mean, the fact that a normal person can do something like that is insane, you know? Like that's crazy. You know, that somebody that doesn't work for a studio and doesn't you don't need to go out and like have a bunch of people in costumes and like actually record the video. Like you can just create it with it. Like that's insane, dude. You know, the so that level of access to things and that's going to happen that's happening in games too where you can create games with AI too, obviously. That lack of a barrier lowering that barrier to entry I think is extremely appealing for the individual, you know. So you're kind of having it from both ends of the pendulum, you know. The voice actors and everybody in the artists and everybody are in the middle. They're the only ones who care because it affects them, right? And it's fucked up. It sucks. Like this is it's kind of fucked up, and like this is the only way they can fight. You know, they have to fight for their value now, which is kind of crazy that we're here already, that we're already at this point, you know, is kind of fucking nuts. And it's kind of sad actually at the same time that we don't value their contribution to the things that we consume, you know, because we wouldn't be where we are with video games or, you know, cartoons without voice actors, you know, having done this for the last few decades and several decades actually. And that the idea that we would be so willingly we'd be so willing to throw them away this quickly is really sad and just like disappointing as an idea, you know.
Yeah,
um
I agree. I mean, I agree that I understand people want to make their own parts of creation. And I understand that the barrier, and I'm air quoting, is hard to get into. Um
it's not that hard though. It's a lot easier than it used to be.
that's what I was gonna actually like really get into.
Yeah.
Um Technology has made it way more accessible for you
Mm-hmm.
to get a hold of training for video games.
Yep.
One thing I'm still salty about, and I probably should talk to my therapist about it, is game create. I'm gonna be totally honest. I'm gonna be completely transparent on the podcast, exclusive. But like,
Yeah.
uh, I hated video game development, and the reason I hated video game development is because I went to a shitty school that took advantage of people who wanted to learn video game development, and they took my money. They took all of our money, me, DJ, and Tori money, and it was nothing but a vacuum of nothingness. And they knew what they were doing. It was predatory, pretty much, and that's why they got sued, and we got our money back. Whatever. Years later. Anyway, still dealing with the trauma of that.
Yeah.
But I remember graduating from my other school in like 2012, 2013, and I get on YouTube and I see all these videos of how to do this, Autodesk this, 3ds Studio Max that, Maya this. This is how you this is how you get into character anatomy. This is how you do this. This is how all these tutorials start popping up. When I was in school, like YouTube barely had those type of tools available to me at all. So, and now fast forward umpteen years later, you can pretty much learn game development from YouTube. You can learn the fundamentals of game development from YouTube. You can learn the
Yeah.
fundamentals of drawing, character modeling, environmental modeling, sound design. All that stuff is available on YouTube now. You don't have to go to school for it. All you have to do is make a plan for yourself. You may have to work a shitty job for a couple years, but you can get a good job in game development. Or you can make your own fucking game now. Unreal 5 is literally The reason they call it Unreal because it's fucking Unreal, but you can fucking do in that shit, in that engine. It's absolutely fucking
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
And I remember working with Unreal 3 and the coding and scripting that you had to do to just get a game to play like Devil May Cry is insane. Like
Yeah.
you would blow your mind the shit you had to do. Unity was the same way. Now there are full blown scripts and buttons that you just press and you can make yourself a Devil May Cry. Like you can get the format of what you want your action game to be like, and then tailor it from there, or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So I am very jealous of people who have the tools today. And this is why this AI shit really fucks with me on a personal level because I do understand. Oh, it's easier for the user. I've heard people say that game creation is being gate kept. AI allows us to not be gate kept anymore by certain creations or gatekept or whatever by certain creations, and I am all for the free market and shit like that, but I think that is a total excuse and bullshit. I think it's huge bullshit. I think it's just AI for me is nothing but tech bros who didn't apply themselves as far as artistically wise, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Right. Totally.
And you're upset that you don't have that talent, and that's I understand. It's like it's okay to be upset that you don't have the musical talent to create the greatest piece of musical or whatever. Some people just don't have the ear. What you can do is you can be probably a critic or something. You can learn the ear. You know, you can do stuff, certain things. You can always be around the genre. Sometimes, like in League of Legends, you can't just be that guy. I'm sorry, man. You're the support. You can't be that guy all the
Yeah.
time. Let the
Yeah.
ADC get some kills. And um I think AI is trying to allow everyone to be the ADC of their genre or the art field. And I don't think it's fair to people who actually sit down and they draw from a square, they turn that square into a fucking a few boxes that look like a hand, and then they turn that few boxes that look like a hand into an actual hand, and then it just gets way better from there. Like that's the problem I think with a lot of art, a lot of movies. We only see the finished products. We never see how people have to like how they get to that point. Even when we see commissions on like, say you see commissions on Reddit and Twitter and all that stuff like that, people who are doing commissions like, hey, I can draw this, this avatar for you. I can draw this for you, $35 or whatever the case may be. And it's like they had to hone their own craft to get to the point where they felt confident to actually charge somebody. Like, do you know how scary that is to say, all right, man, I think my art is good enough to where I can start charging people? That's
Yeah.
fucking scary, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And AI does that. You know how hard it is for an actual voice actor to be like, all right, man, I think I can start charging people for my voice talent. Like, and I will admit, I don't know all the avenues to getting into voice acting, but I know it's probably super fucking hard. You probably got to take some shit jobs. You probably got to take, a contract that says I would do, $1 per word. And then the word is only, or the whole, fucking script is only like 500 words and you get $500 and that's your contract and that's it, bro. You don't get no royalties from it or nothing. You just got to eat it to the chin. There are probably people who took contracts for this is going to sound stupid, but like shitty hentai fucking Americanized hentai shit or porn shit or whatever the case may be. And all that other shit like that. Like all that they had to start somewhere. That's my point. They had to start somewhere. Like, you know, fuck. What's the guy's? I can't. My Luke Skywalker. What's his name? What's his real name? Fuck.
Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamilton didn't. Mark Hamill didn't get there because he's Luke Skywalker. He got there because he probably went into other voice work. And for the longest, me and my mom didn't even know Joker, the animated version of Joker, was Mark Hamill. A lot of people didn't know that actually.
Yeah.
They didn't learn it until like the 2000s, the late 2000s.
Yeah. Right. Definitely.
So this right here is like pretty warranted in my opinion. And I understand AI allows you to do stuff that you never could think of or whatever. And if you but you got to understand, like, a lot of the creation that you guys create, quote unquote, through AI is fucking terrible. I'm sorry, y'all. And even if it becomes the best shit in the world, you become the best prompt engineer in the world, it's still not going to compare to like what a human can do, in my opinion. Um, like even editing and all that stuff like that, that shit takes time to learn. That editing is an art, and a lot of people take that shit for granted, in my opinion. Um, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we have the art, the art um assholes and everything like that who are like, "Ooh, my art is pristine. They just splash some paint on the wall or whatever the fuck, like." Yeah, we have those assholes, but then we have other assholes or other people who are like genuinely grinding it out. Like, for instance, DJ making his game or whatever, he's genuinely grinding out a game to where it's like to the point where he learned Unreal front and back to where he can just do editing and stuff like that for other companies now if he wants to. He doesn't even have to make a game. He can just like, I did all this shit and I know how to do this shit now. So it's just like I just think AI overall, the way it's being used, I don't think AI in itself is an embarrassment or whatever. I think the way it's being used to steal work from humans is terrible because it was meant to actually enhance our artistic stuff, to free us to be more free and everything like that. That's how they advertised it, rather. But instead it's just taking art because that's the easy way out, because you didn't want to learn how to draw.
Right.
Like, I don't know, like, how would you feel like AI can just make a gourmet chef meal? What I'm saying? Like, I don't know, it's just the concept is stupid to me. Like, I don't know, that's just
Well,
my
it's
opinion though.
a this is a societal thing I think we're coming up against. You said it very well. I think everything you said I agree with. Is that the effort that a person puts into a career for decades is at risk right now. All these people, some of these people have been doing this for 30 years or 40 years, and all of a sudden all that effort you put into this skill is at risk right now, and that isn't going to stop at voice actors and artists, right?
Yep.
It's going to come for all of us. You said an AI making a meal. That's Why is that off the table?
Yeah, that's
They'll
true.
get there eventually. It's like what how many like sci-fi shows or movies have you watched where you get those machines that just like poop out a burger, like a delicious fucking burger. Like that is something that humans have already thought of. It's like it's probably a possible thing in the future at some point. And I don't think that's restricted to almost anything really at this point. When you get robotics to a certain point and then AI is capable enough, there's nothing stopping you. You have the physical aspect and then you have the kind of processing aspect of it. And once you have those two things together, like you can probably do almost any task, right?
Hmm.
So this is kind of something we have to contend with. Is this a path we really want to go down as humans?
Yeah,
Because it's going to change our society.
I,
No way
I
around that.
think I think I totally agree with you 100% on everything you just said. I think this is our Oppenheimer moment. I think I already said this before. I think this is our Oppenheimer moment. I think some things just do not need to be created. And he even said, as much as a great scientific feat it was to create the nuclear bomb or the atom bomb,
Yeah.
how much did we lose from that? Because this is a great thing. Like, scientifically, it's insane what the atom bomb is. You know what I'm saying?
Right. What it's capable of.
Yeah. But like, I think the same with AI. I think the technology of AI is fucking insane, bro. I genuinely I do think it's one of the greatest things to be created, to be honest with you. But I'm also batshit scared of it because if we don't get a hold of it really quickly, this can spin out of control very fast. And we're already seeing the effects of
Yeah.
it, in my opinion.
Well, you remember Wally?
Yeah,
Like I feel like we're racing towards that society. you
that's
know,
true. Yeah.
is we're all just gonna be fat in a chair, we never move, like we aren't capable of doing anything anymore. Because no, I mean, I think that's the thing with the people who are individually who are like, embracing this stuff. On one hand, it's probably a lot of fun. It's probably intoxicating in some way, but you're taking a shortcut to something that requires a severe degree of skill and knowledge and understanding. And yeah, I think you're totally right. Ultimately, there's always going to be a hole in anything you create with AI exclusively. You know, um, it would never. I don't think it would ever be able to fill that hole. You know, and I don't know. I'm just a little worried about the. I'm kind of worried about it from the perspective of our society being capitalist driven. Um, People are willing to do anything to make a lot of money. You know, and I don't think this is a line they're going to be afraid to cross either. You know,
But
ultimately,
I think this ultimately, in my opinion, and I know it sounds hyperbolic, but I think this is just as scary as the atom bomb. I
yeah.
think it may take a while for the deaths to toll up, but people are going to start losing jobs, and then things are going to start happening because of this AI technology. Only the bottom, or I'm sorry, or the top 1% will be eating off this AI technology because they can afford it, or whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
I just don't want it to get to that point, in my opinion. I know that sounds super hyperbolic, but I can definitely see a world where that happens unless it gets regulated. It needs to be
Yeah.
regulated.
Yeah.
So
Can you imagine an AI created podcast where they analyze the video game industry?
I'm pretty sure they already have one out
It's
there somewhere, bro.
I it's definitely possible. I don't even think people like us would be, immune to this kind of thing. So,
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't want to be like disgusting or anything. But people are already generating like AI porn. So it's
Yeah.
like even that art is being, even though you may not agree with that it's art, even that piece of art is being
Yeah.
fucked with now at this point,
No.
So it's like
Yeah. Well, yeah, you remember the president video memes last year where everybody was like doing the presidents like doing all sorts of shit together where it's
yeah,
like they play like Magic the Gathering together or Mario Kart, and it was AI voices, in the
yeah.
videos or whatever. And it's like that shit was funny, but it's like, man, it's kind of scary when you think about it.
Yep.
Now, like how, because they sound good. Like they don't sound that far off, you can tell if you really listen, but I'm sure there are some of them that are getting to the point where they're like hard to discern, um so and this stuff is always advancing too, so I don't know. It's scary, man. It's definitely scary. Well said. All right, let's move on, Montreal, to our next story. Is This is a little lighter, kind of interesting actually. Activision has released a couple white papers this year on matchmaking and multiplayer games, and they released one recently about skill in matchmaking. So skill based matchmaking, and the it's a 24-page document. I would actually recommend people go take a look at this and read it. This is an academic paper, right? Like white papers are kind of like scholarly pursuits. They're things that you something that you research and you come to some conclusion and you put it out there publicly. Like you don't withhold the information or anything like that. It's meant to um kind of advance things academically, right?
Mhm.
So it's funny to see a corporation like Activision doing this because you would think they would want to hold on to information like this necessarily, but basically one of the big takeaways from the white paper was that they tested over a period of time in Call of Duty this year, um, what would be the implications of taking out skill based matchmaking um, from Call of Duty, and they came to the conclusion that it resulted in significantly lower player retention when they took it out. That when they had it in there, players came back more often than they didn't. So it's a very interesting thing because it's a very hotly debated topic out there. There are a ton of people who want skill based matchmaking to be removed from shooters or online games in general. Um, but Montreal, are you one of these people?
Uh, that wanted skill based matchmaking in games, or did not want them?
Want it removed? Are you one of these people that want it removed?
At first, I was, and then I quickly thought about it. A lot of people point to like Call of Duty 4 and everything. I think there was some skill based matchmaking in there. But a lot of games back in the day were the Wild Wild West, where they had servers and stuff like that, and you can just join any server and you can play that way. And maybe you get some servers that were good, and then maybe you get some servers that were bad, or whatever the case may be. Um, Call of Duty on console, it had some type of matchmaking. I don't know what it did. I definitely know for a fact that Bungie had skill based matchmaking in Halo 2 and maybe not Halo 2, but 3 for sure.
Yeah.
And whatever algorithm they were using, it was almost godlike. It was a true skill based matchmaking thing. A true skill, that's what they called it. Actually, it was true skill. So on the one hand, this is gonna insult us, Justin, so I apologize. People that like want skill based matchmaking removed because it reminds them of the old golden days. I'm sorry, y'all. We were trash. Like, we aren't as good as these kids are today. We weren't sharing ideas because, and the reason why is because ideas weren't being shared as much of how to play the game better. You know, there weren't tutorials online and stuff like that. We kind of had to just figure it out or know somebody. Like, for instance, quick scoping on Halo. I knew people who knew how to quick scope, and I knew how to quick scope, but not everybody knew how to do a quick scope on Halo. So it's like those type of things, right? But now you go online, you can find a tutorial on how to bunny hop in fucking Apex, or Zen hop, or wherever the fuck it is called now, whatever.
Yeah.
So you have all this information being shared, and the community is actively getting better. Same thing with like League of Legends, like season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. You could get away with like, oh, if you just farm and farm your lane, do this and that, you can win the game. You can get out of low elo like that. And that's how you do it. Now you can't just do that. You need to learn some type of macro skill. You need to learn how to do some type of rallying with your teammates, coordination or whatever, even in low elo. Because I guarantee you the silver players of today will be the challenger players of yesterday. Guaranteed. Not even joking with y'all. Like they would be challenger in season 4 or something like that of League of Legends. So I think that's what people need to think about when they're asking for this type of stuff. Like, even if you look at like football, tennis, basketball, soccer, like even they showed it in the Olympics actually, right? Like the slowest person in one of the meter dashes was the world record, like back in 2000 or something like that. And I'm like, that's fucking insane to me. Like, are you serious? Like, that's insane.
Yeah, bro. It's true across athletics, dude. It's actually fucking nuts to think about.
And think about the people playing tennis, right? Like hitting 100-mile serves and stuff like that. If you did that back in like the 60s or something when tennis was,
you would have blown these people off the fucking court, dude. Oh my god. Like,
so, it's just like the sport advanced, and I think video games have advanced. So there needs to be some type of like regulation to that. And matchmaking is that type of regulation. Now, one could debate that matchmaking can be used for nefarious ways, which I 100% think companies sometimes use matchmaking for nefarious ways. Sometimes they're designed to get you to keep climbing, and to always reach. You're never going to reach the peak. It's an addictive thing they get you addicted to, and that's why I think League of Legends is so addictive, in my opinion. But this makes sense though when you take away matchmaking or skill based matchmaking. I always said this was nothing but for streamers because like Tim the Tatman was complaining about it and shit like
Yeah.
that. And it's like, bro, you just want to drop 20k 20 bombs all the time. That's what you want. You want to make
Yeah.
better content,
Right.
and it's not for the betterment of everybody else.
Not at
So I
all.
understood both sides of the argument, but I already knew what the data was going to be skewed towards because it was going to be skewed towards the higher skilled players dropping 20 bombs on lower skilled players, and people were not going to play anymore. I wouldn't want to play anymore. Like, I just jumped into the lobby, just drop this dude is, bunny hopping and fucking drop shotting me everywhere. Like, bro, I don't
Yeah.
you play this game all the time. I am 35. I just got off of work. I just want to play a game. That's it.
Yeah. No, and I mean, dude, we talk about Smurfs all the time and all these multiplayer games we play, and I mean, there's nothing that ruins a game more than a Smurf, you know?
Yes, yes.
Like seriously, that difference in skill is horrible. It completely warps the entire fucking game around them, whether that's an Apex or fucking League or Dota, what doesn't really matter what the game is. And that shit sucks. And that's what getting rid of skill based matchmaking would introduce all the time. Like you are literally just playing roulette at that point, whether you are paired with 4 predators and 5 bronze players or whatever in fucking League, or you're paired with all gold players. It's like it's gonna be completely fucking random. And that is not, I just feel like that is it's so obvious that system would never work. It would not be satisfying to play, because luck of the draw is going to determine the quality of your game, right?
Yeah.
And I just don't think anybody would really actually practically want that. They're not really thinking about it if that's what they're asking for. And yeah, our problem with skill based matchmaking in these games has been the way it's been implemented and how it operates.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
that clearly it doesn't work in a game like Apex, right? Where we are literally going up against people that have Predator badges in their profile. It's like, and that's happening every single game where you're up against a 3-player team that's all Predators. Like, clearly that's not working. There's something wrong there. Like, we shouldn't be playing these people. We've never even gotten above like gold in fucking Apex. It's like, so that's the kind of shit I think that we're talking about when we're being critical of it. I would never want them to get rid of it. And you want to know how hard this is, by the way, for a company to make effective skill-based matchmaking? There's an example in here that I found. So I'm gonna read this verbatim. So, quote, um this process is necessary for efficiently finding groups of searches that can likely form a lobby together. Take, for instance, a group of 300 players, which is not a lot in any multiplayer game that's worth its salt. There are over, and I can't read this number, it's too many digits, 887, 827, 414, 757, 477, 464, 625 unique 12-player lobby configurations possible. Exhaustively finding the best among these is computationally impossible on the time scale of a single search. Therefore, we must rely on heuristics to order and prune the list of candidates such that each sequential search considered is most likely to lead to a near optimal result. So heuristics means like they're doing like mental shortcuts, right?
Mhm.
They're coming up with logic that helps them prune that number down into something reasonable that their computational model can actually do in an effective time frame. Yeah, that was a 21 digit number that I just read out. Okay.
Yeah,
I
it's actually
believe
crazy
I
seeing
don't
it in
even know
person.
what that
Like,
is.
yeah,
Like,
I
that's
don't know
more
what
than
that is.
trillions. So that's a lot for 300 players. So imagine when we're talking about millions of players, how hard this is for them to actually do. I do think we need to give them a little bit more grace, I guess, in this regard, is that what they're trying to do is very difficult at the scale they're doing it, you know.
Yeah,
It's really hard to take a million players all queuing up at the same time and figuring out what fucking lobby, like how to assign these people all to lobbies together. It's like that is very difficult, and that's exactly why they've created all these ranking systems. MMR is a thing, and all that stuff. It's to help relatively put some kind of logic around it that they can utilize to make this easier. Does it always work super well? No, not necessarily. But I think most of our issues with matchmaking tend to stem from the whiplash pendulum swing of it, where it goes from we're playing laughably easy players that are literally feel like we're playing against bots. That's how bad they are. And then the next game, the game swings us all the way up to fucking Emerald Diamond players where we get absolutely fucking stomped and we look like the bots. That shit is the problem. Those kind of swings should not happen. It should be more gradual, you know? But then again, when you're doing all this in real time, how hard is it to make it gradual for every single person that's playing the game? Because we're thinking about our experience in a vacuum, right? When we're talking about this and criticizing it. But again, you have to think about the whole picture. If you have a million players all queuing up at the same time, Justin's lobby is not necessarily the most important lobby that you need to figure out. You need to figure out all 1 million players at the same importance level, right? So it's that is a Herculean task. The fact that it works at all is kind of a miracle now that I'm talking about this and thinking about it more. It's like it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think I think too a lot of people who want to improve in the game, the problem you really honed in on something. It's like the whiplash effect or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Um, and it's the point where you just want to improve, but you really can't. Especially like if you're in the lower tier brackets of the skill based matchmaking, where I feel like a lot of players are at, and there should be a large pool to pull from. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, but there should be a large pool to pull from, and match you up with it. And um, I think a lot of players reach a plateau to where they have to smurf because they want to play more, or they just they've reached their own mental boom. And it's like, I guess I can understand that, but then that's why they have norms and like most
Mm.
games where you can just go into norms or whatever the case may be. Um, but even still, you're going to be matched with similar players because no one wants to jump into a norms lobby and then he gets fucking smashed in there, dropping 20
Because
bombs or
you're playing a challenger player, yeah,
yeah,
right,
no one wants
yeah,
to do that. So, and then also the matchmaking is made worse by these same people who want to feel good about themselves, so they make a Smurf account and they just go into the and then now the system has trajected that person. It has to account for that person. Like, wow, this person just got 25 kills in one League of Legends game. What the fuck? I don't think this is not really possible. So now it has to kind of make all these computations out of that group to to account for this one person, and then it does slingshot the wrong people in wrong places. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah.
it's kind of like our fault, and it's kind of like the system's fault as well, because it's like, you know, who would have ever thought of Smurfs being a thing? Um, but I mean, now with free to play games, and that's another thing too, Justin. I think a lot of people don't realize Halo, Call of Duty, these were all pay to play games.
Yeah,
I had to pay to get Xbox Live, had to pay to
yeah,
get a copy of Halo. I had to pay for all this stuff. I couldn't make a Smurf. You see what I'm saying? Like, it would cost me money to actually make a Smurf in Halo 3. It would cost
yeah,
money for me to make a Smurf in Call of
yeah,
Duty 4.
yeah.
So therefore, the matchmaking was inherently better because there were a lot more honest players playing the game. With free to play,
Right,
if I feel like I'm getting stuck somewhere, like say if I'm a diamond player or whatever, and I'm like, I'm getting tired of going against people my similar skill, and obviously I'm trash. I refuse to take accountability and get better. I'm just gonna go make a Smurf account and I'm gonna climb in that Smurf account. The
right,
only way I can see making a Smurf account make sense is if you totally make a different role, which I did make a Smurf account because I was jungle for about 5 years of my life in League of Legends, and I did not know how to play lane. And I switched to mid lane and I got obliterated in my profile. And I was
yeah,
like, there's no
yeah,
way I can properly learn. So I made a Smurf account and I exclusively played mid lane in that Smurf account to learn mid lane, but I was legitimately a fucking iron bronze player. I'm like, I'm total shit.
Mm,
I don't know how to
yeah.
do this, you know. And I think
Yeah.
that's when it like that's okay if you're trying to do it legitly, right? If you're trying to learn something legitly. League of Legends and Dota are unique in that aspect, or I even say Overwatch too. They're unique in that aspect to where if I'm playing support my entire life and then I switch over to top lane or I switch over to DPS, I have to learn that role now. That's a
Yeah.
whole new role. It's
Right.
like going from, you know, being a fucking quarterback to being a linebacker. You have to learn how to do that role. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So, um so I think it's okay in that aspect, but I also think the game should kind of like account for that. Like, okay, this person obviously doesn't play mid lane at all. Let's
Right.
try to, account for that this person is not playing mid lane or something like that. I remember League of Legends did have something like that at first, where if I queued up for mid lane, and I was primarily jungler. They had it for like a quick season, and people got mad about it. I actually liked it, but people got so pissed about it. If I queued up for mid lane and I played jungle all my life, I'm like a challenger jungler. Not, yeah, I'm like a challenger jungler. They'll put you in a diamond lobby as a mid laner because obviously you're not a fucking challenger mid laner. And
Yeah.
people were upset about that. I thought it was like one of the most unique matchmaking systems to come out of a video game. But it was a little bit too much ahead of his time. But yeah,
Yeah.
sorry to go off on a tangent there. But yeah, I think the smurfing problem in free to play games in particular is a huge issue that needs to be kind of dealt with.
Yeah.
And if to be honest with you, if I gotta pay $5 to make a new account, or maybe pay $2 or $3 to make an account on a free to play game, like everything else is free, I just gotta pay the $2 or $3 to make my account. At this point in my life, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. I think that's. I know it may sound like I'm shilling for a company or whatever, or you're trying to make more money. It's like I would rather pay $10 for an account than deal with a cheater or a smurf, because they both those things inherently make the game so much worse. Where I just don't play
Yeah.
the game anymore. We don't even play Apex anymore because of
Oh my
smurfs and
fucking
cheaters,
god,
and we
dude.
loved Apex,
Yeah,
loved it.
it was out of control in that game. It got better for a while, and then it got so much worse. Like it was crazy, the swing on that. But no, I think the issue is this is kind of a uniquely PC issue, even with free to play.
Mhm.
I think it's such a pain in the ass to deal with on console at a certain point. Like you can do it with your first couple accounts, but the more accounts you make, you have to start disassociating
Oh yeah, yeah.
emails from your console, because you
Yeah.
you can't have too many accounts tied to your PlayStation, for instance. I don't know about Xbox, but I'm sure they have a limit as well
It's the
of
same
some
as
sort.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, and at a certain point, it becomes more trouble than it's worth to probably Smurf on console. That's why when we played Apex on console, dude, it was actually really fun. Because I don't really think there were Smurfs, and it's really hard to hack on console. It was just like the
Yeah.
strike pack thing that you were talking about, though. I remember that was a problem there, but I remember the games felt more fair.
Yeah.
We like the fights felt fair. We weren't losing in 2 seconds, when a team would just fucking run straight at us and literally gun us down in 2 seconds when we were visible. It's like that stuff wasn't happening on console. So this is kind of a PC problem. I don't really know how you fix it though without going as deep as like hardware IDs tied to accounts or something, things like that. That would, like, you literally cannot make another account in a game. And that might not be a good solution either.
Yeah,
To your
because
point
people
about
could.
learning a new role or something like that in League, like that, there are legitimate reasons to make another account at some
Yeah.
point. Or if you want to play with your friends and like they've never played before and you don't want to queue up with your main account because you're gonna fucking destroy their queues,
Yeah. Exactly.
that's also another reality with it. I remember when we were getting in Dota, you guys were queuing up with me and we were playing against very clearly veteran players who were pretty good at the game, and you
Yeah.
guys were just fumbling idiots who didn't even know how to fucking last hit. and everybody in the game was like, "You guys are new, huh?" It's like, so it's like there are reasons to make a Smurf account, that are legitimate. It's just abused too much, but um, I don't know. It's a frustrating problem. So ultimately, to get back to the point about the white paper, skill based matchmaking is a good thing. I do hope though that companies are not getting complacent with the way they design these things. Is that because I feel like everybody uses MMR and some kind of like medal system, for their rankings. That there is still space for innovation in this, and I hope companies are actually like actively still exploring that. Um, yeah, that's it for me. Anything else on this for you?
No, that's it for me.
Okay, cool. Let's move on. Next story. This is a minor one, but this was like the first news story I wrote down after last week's show. So, there was a Harry Potter Quidditch Champions trailer that came out last week. And this is the Harry Potter Quidditch game that we had heard about. It is not tied to Hogwarts Legacy. It appears to be a free to play game of some sort. It does look cool. I will say, like, it does kind of look fun to play. But it's like I don't know. I feel like this should have been part of Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know. Montrell, what about you? Did you any interest in this kind of thing for you?
I don't know about. It should have been like a side game or something like that. I don't know about me dedicating a whole game to it.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
right.
but
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do want Quidditch, but it looks like it's going to be an actual game. Like there's a standard edition and deluxe edition. So I don't know.
Oh, this isn't free to play. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's releasing on September 3rd. Yeah, you're right. There are multiple editions, and you can pre-order it now. So,
yeah, I don't know about this one.
They're advertising a broom skin, which is probably the lamest thing I've ever heard a game do. So I don't know how well their cosmetics are gonna work here, but
just looking at the comments, I don't know, man. Harry Potter fans,
they're simping for it.
Oh my god, they're probably fucking Madden fans at this point. Like it's insane. Like
yeah.
Like I don't know how you can look at this and be like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." I'm like,
"Oh my god, yeah, you're right, dude. I'm seeing hypes. This looks fire. Oh my god, please prayer emoji."
Yeah, man. No, this is definitely gonna sell like hotcakes. Unfortunately.
Wow, you're totally right, dude.
Yeah.
There's no negative comments in here at all. Somebody was like, "Oh my god, finally." Oh man, I'm kind of disappointed this isn't free to play. I might have checked it out if it was. Like, I don't want to pay for this shit,
It depends on how much it is. If it's like $20, then all right, whatever.
Yeah, sure. I need to see like extended gameplay. Like, what does a game look like of this? From the different positions you can play, because you can do you can play all the positions in this game. It looks like, which is kind of cool. Which is kind of interesting, but like what does the seeker gameplay look like though? It's like if there's some mechanic that leads you to the snitch, then I want nothing to do with this game because that's fucking boring as shit. If like it needs to be like finding the snitch to me needs to actually take skill and like attention to detail,
yeah,
kind of thing, because otherwise I just don't think it represents what the sport is supposed to be in the world of Harry Potter. So I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. Probably won't check it out, but I'm gonna watch some gameplay for sure when it comes out.
Well, they have currency in here too, because if you get the deluxe edition, you get 200 gold, and I'm like
2,000 gold. Yeah.
2,000.
No, there's microtransactions in here. This is gonna be a live service game for sure. But it's a premium one.
Yeah, this is about to be crazy. I don't know.
Is this Rocket League for broomsticks?
Yeah, but you gotta pay for it though.
You had to pay for Rocket League up to a certain point.
Okay.
Not now. It's free. It's been free to play for years now. But when it first came out, it wasn't free. I think it was $30.
It was $30. Okay.
Yeah. It was free on PS Plus though the month it came out. If you remember back in the day, which got a huge number of people playing it.
I do remember that.
That's how I got into it. So yeah. All right. Well, September 3rd. Don't know pricing on it. Let's see. Maybe we can look this up. Harry Potter Quidditch Champions price. $29.99.
Okay,
So
that's not bad.
there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not bad.
they're not going crazy. Like
Yeah.
that's a reasonable price. So all right, well, we'll see how people like it. It would be cool if it was actually fun, but we'll see. All right, moving on. This is an update to last week's story. We had mentioned there were rumors going around that Avowed was going to be delayed into next year, and that this is official. It has been delayed to February 2025. And this was to give players backlogs some breathing room, is what they said, which is a really interesting way to justify a delay. I think they are obviously trying to get out of the way of Dragon Age, which is coming out this fall. I don't think they want anything to do with that game. I think they will probably get obliterated if they're within even a month of that game's release date, which kind of makes it tough for them.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would too. I don't think games. Sometimes you just gotta let it go, man. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's a good decision. Just let it go.
No, be strategic, right, with your release
yeah.
date. It's the most important date for your game that it will ever have, right? So make sure it's the right one. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. I think competing with Dragon Age is, especially, like, it's not the same genre, but it's like closely kind of in that same realm, I would say, of genre type games. And you don't want to compete with that. So yeah, just trying to move it back.
Yep.
Let the Dragon Age, fester for a minute. And then try it again.
Yep. February 18th is the official date, by the way, 2025. So
Okay.
Which I think is a good day. February is a really good month for games like this. New IPs, things like that, smaller games. So we'll see. We'll see how it is. I wouldn't expect another delay, probably. So can probably hang on to this date at this point. All right. Montrell, let's move on to our final story for the week. Circana numbers for June 2024. And let's just jump right into it. Total video game sales for the month of June 2024, 4.569 billion this year versus 4.833 billion last year. That's a minus 5% decrease. Video game content. This is all game sales, DLC microtransactions, subscriptions, etc. 4.079 billion this year versus 4.160 billion last year. That's a negative 2% decrease. Video game hardware sales, 287 million this year versus 454 million last year. That is a negative 37% decrease. And then video game accessories, 204 million this year versus 219 million last year. That is a negative 7% decrease as well. So we got negatives across the board. Things are starting to truncate a little bit, it seems like, with game sales. It is a slow time right now, I will say. June had a couple big releases, but July is probably going to be even worse than this, I would anticipate, because it's fucking what the hell even came out in July? I don't even know. Like, did anything of note come out in July?
Well, we had 2 of those new games come out in July. Well, I think it was one actually that I was looking at. Flint. I want to call it Flintlock, maybe, or Siege Lock, or something of that nature.
Yeah, but I mean something big, right? Like a big, like something that would be notable in Circana that would like drive sales. I don't really think so. I don't really think there was a game like that. I guess technically, Dawn Trail came out for Final Fantasy 14. Came out in July, technically. Yeah. So you got that, but so Tony, best-selling games of the month. Number 1, Elden Ring. I wonder why. Shadow of the Erdtree came out in June, so obviously that makes sense. Number 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Number 3, Kingdom Hearts Integrum Masterpiece.
What is this?
Square Enix with the names. This is the PC collection release, I believe.
Oh my god, are you
No,
serious?
yes, number 4, degenerates everywhere for Kingdom Hearts. Number 4, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. This is the re-release of Shin Megami Tensei 5. Number 5, Hogwarts Legacy. Number 6, Minecraft. Number 7, MLB The Show 24. Number 8, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Number 9, EA Sports FC 24. Number 10, Sea of Thieves. Number 11, Helldivers 2. Number 12, Ghost of Tsushima. Number 13, Marvel Spider-Man 2. Number 14, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Number 15, Mortal Kombat 1. 16, UFC 5. 17, Mario Kart 8. 18, The Elder Scrolls Online. 19, Dragon's Dogma 2. And 20, Street Fighter 6. So anything jumping out to you on that list, Montrell?
Unfortunately, that Kingdom Hearts, I didn't think last month's ranking was 399.
Yeah, 399. Oh yeah, it's probably one of the biggest jumps we've ever seen, you know? But look, dude, like Montreal, we've talked about Kingdom Hearts a lot on the show, right? And we make fun of ourselves and we make fun of everybody else for it. But there are so many closeted degenerates for this series out there that I'm almost embarrassed for all of us, you know?
I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't know, man. It is like a staple.
I mean, they're on PC. It infected PC too. It's like you would think this would be a console exclusive, disease, right? But no, the the PC master race people are fucking Kingdom Hearts degenerates, Like, what the fuck, dude?
If we ever get super big and we have enough time and money, I really want to do a deep dive on this game. There has to be something in this game.
There's something really deep
that just touches all of us. Yes, in the good way of me touching us, and in the bad way as well. It has to be something, bro. I just don't get it. And this is coming from a Kingdom Hearts fan myself. Because I even have sometimes the urge, the inkling, the crack inkling to just play it. And I'm just
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it recently, dude. There's something wrong with us. There's something wrong with us.
I think it was like I was on Instagram and someone posted like a reel of it, and they're like, "Oh, it was the Hollow Bastion music," and I was just like, it just wired my brain. My brain just it was a flash. I was like, "Oh, I gotta play it now. I gotta get the Hollow Bastion and just listen to that music."
Oh man,
I don't know, man. And you know what was even crazier about it? Kingdom Hearts. I wasn't even at the time when this game came out. Wasn't even a Final Fantasy fan or a Disney fan. I actually hated. I was a Looney Tunes person. I love Looney Tunes. I did not like Disney at all. I hated Disney Channel and everything. Can't explain it. Can you explain that to me, Justin? Why do I love this game so much? I didn't even think Final Fantasy was the best RPG at the time.
This is why.
I still don't think it is.
This is why. This is why you love it. Come on, bro. I mean, it's a classic, right? You can't beat that soundtrack. It's so edgy and so just like, it's so edgy, isn't it? Like,
see, this is why I want us to have kids, right?
Yeah.
And I want our kids to play this game, and I want to see. I'm gonna give it to her at like 10 to like 13, that range, that like edgy teen. Yeah, like will they have the same effect of them too?
Well, we have to prime them in their first 10 years of life though with the Disney movies, right? Like they have to watch all the major Disney
I did love Disney movies. I did love Disney movies.
Like they have to watch Lion King, they gotta watch Little Mermaid. I mean, all of them. Like we got to do all of them basically. Frozen, so you got to get them like addicted to that. And then we introduce Kingdom Hearts. And I would guarantee you, I would probably bet you 99% of kids, if you did that their first 10 years and then around 12, 13, you introduce Kingdom Hearts to them and they play it, they're probably going to become fans. Like,
do you think it's the edginess combined with the Disney stuff?
Yes, it is. It's they're complete opposites. The fucking emo anime shit with Disney. Come on. It's a match made in heaven. It's so fucking genius, and at the same time, it's so cringe, right? Like it's just, but it works. I don't know. There's just something about it. There's something about it, man.
All right, enough of that. But like, it's just I just don't get it. I think it is the cringe of the 2000s. But I think every team was like cringe at that point, like whether you want to admit it or
Bro,
not. I
I
don't know.
remember how. Do you remember how embarrassed you were when you saw the Kingdom Hearts trailer on TV? Like I saw commercials for Kingdom Hearts 1 and I was embarrassed with myself that I was like, "Oh my god, that kind of looks fire, dude. Like I kind of
Bro,
want to
I
play
was
that."
embarrassed to play this in front of my mom.
But I remember when someone I was closeted, right? I wouldn't dare bring up that commercial to anybody at school because this was my first year of high school, I think. When that came out, and I was like, I remember somebody brought it up, and I was like, dude, oh my god, I'm so excited about this game too. And we're sitting there just fucking geeking out about fucking Kingdom Hearts trailer, and I'm sure everybody around us was like, who the fuck are these losers, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of the
so
same thing that happened with me. I was like, man, this Kingdom Hearts game. I was actually playing it, not at school, but I was like reading the Game Informer or something like that. And someone was like, "Yo, you play Kingdom Hearts?" I'm like, "Yeah." Yo, how did you get past Ursula? And I'm like, I'm stuck at
yeah,
Ursula too, or whatever the case. And I'm like, I don't know. It's a weird. It's a cultural shock game. It's actually funny that younger kids
yeah.
still love this game. It's a banger. The more I did it, man. It's a banger.
It's Pokemon for Square Enix. It just works on kids, man. Other than that, I mean, this was man, what a down month June was. That Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance is number
Hey,
4.
don't,
Like,
don't do that to that game.
what the fuck, dude? Like,
It's an okay game.
I mean, no, I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just like, it's not popular though. Like, this isn't like a mega fucking franchise. Like,
No, I actually hate Shin Megami Tensei. I mean, whatever.
yeah.
People can hate on me all you want to. That shit was
Well,
boring
the
as
funny
fuck.
part about this, I remember when 5 came out, is that everybody praised the game a lot, and now that this re-release came out, is that what they did is they made like an alternate path to the main story you can take, apparently, that is supposed to be like the real game. And now
Mhm.
everybody's like, man, the original version of Shin Megami Tensei 5 was so ass, you know. And it's like now it's like Vengeance is like the savior, but it's like all of you liked the game originally. What the fuck? Where's this coming from? You know,
I,
just the
I just
revisionism is
I just
wild.
never was a fan of Shin Megami Tensei. Every time I played it, bro, I just got so bored. I'm just
It's
like,
just look. I think we talked about this before, right? This is a hot take, but Persona's combat is not fun.
it's not.
It's not really fun. That's not why I play Persona. You know,
It
those
is.
parts of the game where I have to go through the dungeons and you're like in there for 3 hours straight. I want to kill myself. I fucking like. It's not fun. Like I'm not enjoying myself in those sections of the game. You want to know when I am enjoying myself? During like the cutscenes when people are talking to each other and they're trying to figure out who murdered the fucking, you know, whoever. You know, it's like that. That's the good
Well,
shit
well,
in
I think
Persona.
for me personally with Persona, right? It's everything surrounding the combat, like the UI design, the music,
Yeah, the
you know, the
flashiness. Yeah, the
flashiness of it or
aesthetic,
whatever. In Shin
the
Megami
music.
Tensei,
Yeah,
yeah, in Shin Megami Tensei is literally none of that. It's just
yeah.
pure Persona
It's
combat.
just the pure and menu based combat with no. It's like they wanted to make it as sterile as humanly possible. You know.
It's so bad. And people
Yeah.
love these games. And if you say Shin Megami Tensei is bad, they will look at you like you're not cultured. And I'm like, you know what? I'm
You're not a
probably not.
real gamer.
Yeah, you're not a weird gamer. I'm like, you know what? I'm probably not. The shit's
Montrell,
fucking
these are
stale.
people that say they love Dragon Quest with a straight face. You know,
Oh my,
like
that's another. You know
I
what? I'm gonna
can't,
get.
I can't fucking stand Dragon Quest combat, bro. It's the worst. It's so fucking boring.
And they will
Oh
look
my
you
god.
dead in the eye, like dead in
Yeah.
the eye, Justin. It'd be like it's actually one of the more best RPGs out there. Are
Okay.
you serious? Okay, you can have it, bro. I'm not gonna argue with you anymore.
Go for it.
Go.
Yeah, you want to just keep hitting the attack button? Go ahead.
Yeah, going down to menu, item, potion. Whoa, you blew my mind with that one, buddy.
Oh my
Right?
god, you cast fire on the plant creature and hit its weakness. Oh, you're so clever, you know, like we're such
It's-
haters. We're
I
such
know,
fucking
man.
haters,
I
dude.
know, bro. We are.
Yeah.
But it's just like I don't know. I feel like if I play once I played Pokemon, I played Shin Megami Tensei and I played Dragon Quest.
Dragon
And I'm like,
Quest.
I don't need to play those.
I agree
games.
with you. Those games they're all functionally the same.
Yes.
You know? Like there's
Yeah.
nothing like that's why Pokemon's the one that grabbed me because it's the most interesting of them because different types and all the the way you can like manipulate the Pokemon and stuff, like
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
interesting. You
Yeah.
can't do any of that in Dragon Quest, and Shin Megami Tensei has some of that with the fucking, I don't know, the personas or whatever they're called in the series, the one, the
Yeah,
fucking creatures you
yeah,
combine,
the demons and stuff like that where you can.
yeah, the demons you combine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what, you want to know what game in this series that I love is the tactical RPG Devil Survivor from the DS. Is one of my fucking favorite games I've ever played. It's so fucking good, and it uses basically very similar systems to a normal Shin Megami Tensei game with the combining the demons and everything like that, and ranking them up. And you fight with the demons, like your character doesn't really fight; the demons fight for you and stuff. That it's just, I don't know. It's a genre thing. I prefer
Yeah.
tactical games. I'm just
Yeah.
not into turn-based
I don't know.
RPGs.
I do like turn-based RPGs a lot, but um I do think the genre does need other stuff, and that's why they do put other stuff in the game, in the combat.
Yeah.
They put the
Right. The
active.
default
Yeah,
Octopath.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They put, maybe they put like an active time thing in there or something like that,
Yeah.
or whatever, real time battle type system, something, because they know we did this with Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3, and God
Right.
bless us for, so now we need to go try something,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
or whatever. So I don't know, but yeah, Shin Megami Tensei, like you said, being up there, I think it was highly anticipated, but um before I got off Twitter, I think June was around the time I did get off Twitter. Um, I remember people like hyping this up, Shin Megami Tensei for sure.
Mm.
Another one that actually stood out to me is Elder Scrolls Online.
I think there was an
198.
expansion. I
There
think there was an
was.
expansion that came out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So
there
the game is still
was.
popular.
Yeah. I think that's a unique MMO.
Yeah.
When I tried to play it, I did play it for about a good 40 to 50 hours. It just wasn't enough to hold me though, but it is a unique MMO. I can see why people like it. It is it's just very unique. It's different. I can't really explain it to
Mm.
people.
Yeah. Well, we'll
what
see if
what
Final Fantasy 14's next on the next month.
I will
Go
say
ahead.
on the best selling game so far, I think Rise of the Ronin being at number 20, I think that's really cool actually.
Well, hold on. I'll jump there in a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
One more thing I wanted to say is Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Y'all are just like Nintendo simps. Why are you paying $60 for this game? Like, this
I
was a
didn't like it.
3DS game that when it came out was $40, and people are paying 60 for it now, brand new. Like,
This
it's
is
just
this is the one where they went level based, right?
it's fucking terrible. I hate it.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was Luigi Mansion 3 or 2. They
No, it's
went level
two.
based.
It's two. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not a
this is
fan
the
of
one I
it.
didn't like. I didn't like Luigi Mansion 2.
I will
Now,
say I want to give it another shot because I did see some gameplay of it of some of the later levels that I never really got out of the first level actually.
okay.
And there is some interesting, it seems like there's actually some cool levels that you go to maybe later on, but I'm like I didn't like the concept of being level based. It's just not, like, I hate going into the mansion and the game is like you have an objective, and in this mission, it's basically a mission. You can only go into these rooms. All the other rooms are
Mm,
inaccessible and they're locked. You can't get into them.
okay.
There's no way to figure out.
Yeah.
There's no way to get into them. Like, you don't have, the game will not allow you to. Like, and that kind of gameplay is just not what Luigi's Mansion is to me. And I found that really frustrating. So I didn't enjoy 2 very much at all. So, but all right, yeah, top 20 games of the year so far. Number 1, still Helldivers 2. Number 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Number 3, Dragon's Dogma 2. Number 4, MLB The Show 24. Number 5, Elden Ring. Number 6, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Number 7, WWE 2K24. Number 8, Tekken 8. Number 9, Madden NFL 24. Number 10, Hogwarts Legacy. Number 11, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Jesus. Number 12, NBA 2K24. Number 13, EA Sports FC 24. Number 14, Persona 3 Reload. 15, Grand Theft Auto 5. 16, Minecraft. 17, Sea of Thieves. 18, Marvel Spider-Man 2. 19, Stellar Blade. 20, Rise of the Ronin. So, yeah. Stellar Blade and Rise of the Ronin being at the bottom there is cool. They will certainly be knocked off this list in the coming months, but it is cool to see those games there. But so this is kind of depressing, honestly. I can kind of see why game sales are down right now, because Elden Ring having sold more than Final Fantasy VII Rebirth this year, that's insane. I know the DLC came out, but it jumped from 20 to 5 in a month. Like, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just didn't like Final Fantasy, so
I know, but I similarly just like, I'm so sick of Elden Ring. I'm so tired of everybody talking about it. Like,
I mean, it is a good game, but it's just
yeah,
I
but
I
like,
I, I do
it's
think
just,
it's
dude, it's
overblown
been
at this
2
point.
years of this. 2 years of this shit. Okay, this game, I just don't believe it. Like, I can't believe it's this good. You know, it's just like, I don't know. I
It's a
need to
good
play it. I
game.
feel like I have to play it. You know, I need to understand, because I
It
don't.
it's a good game. Me personally, I just don't feel like going through it again. Um, yeah, I don't think I'm going to actually play it. The update or whatever,
DLC. Yeah.
DLC. I just don't. Me personally, I just don't feel like doing it
I just
again,
don't know
man.
if there's any point to it, because it does away with your character progression. It has its own progression system
Oh, it does. I didn't know that.
within the DLC, and I'm not. That doesn't. It's not exciting to me. But you know, everybody and their mother is like, oh, what a great idea. You know, this has been an issue in previous DLCs where, like, you know, your character is like so OP, by the time you get to the DLC, you just steamroll the whole thing and all that. But I don't know. It just doesn't feel. This is why DLC is stupid. You know, I'm not a fan of DLC in games. For that reason, it's just like, in an RPG, it's impossible to balance. In a story-driven game, you finished the story so long ago that having to come back to it and play more, you know, you don't even remember what the fuck happened. You know, it's just like, I don't really think DLC makes a lot of sense, but it's just me. Suicide Squad still being up here on 11 is interesting, given the fact that WB said they're down 42%
Bro,
sales.
I just think people are huffing copium.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Batman Arkham Asylum Batman fans are interesting. I just think they're huffing copium at this point. Like the simple fact that people gave this game, like people looked at it and was like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. Like it is, I don't get it. Me personally, I just don't get it. And I don't know. Like I guess people were saying you gotta try games out and stuff, but bro, this was literally
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, their revenue dropped 41% year over year in Q2,
I mean, it
because of
makes
Suicide
sense.
Squad.
It makes
So,
sense.
which is, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's just like, this list is just full of a lot of games that didn't even come out this year. Sea of Thieves, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Minecraft, Grand Theft Auto 5, um, EA Sports FC 24, NBA 2K 24. Those are whatever. That's not as big of a deal. Hogwarts Legacy, I guess, is in there. Madden didn't come out this year. Elden Ring didn't come out this year. Like, Call of Duty from last year didn't come out this year. It's number 2. It's like, over half the list are games that didn't even come out this year. You know, it's like, I don't know. This is, I mean, we talked about this, right? This is the state of games, dude. It's the same culprits. Like, people are just not playing a diverse set of games, you know? That is just not where the money is going. It's going into the same funnels it's been going into the last several years, you know? It kind of sucks to see it, you know, month after month, year after year. But I don't know. I don't really know what the answer is. It's just, it is what it is. This is the industry we have, right?
Yeah, and we fed into this industry, and the industry kind of fed this to themselves. So this is where we're at now, where there's a lot of games where there's just like not enough creativity.
Right. Yeah, the idea that Stellar Blade is like hyper refreshing as a game that basically is like a PS3 game, you know, styled like a PS3 game. Like,
Yeah,
that's like hyper refreshing. Like, that's kind of where we are now, you know. Because objectively, that game is not like amazing, right? But
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot because I did find it refreshing, in this modern kind of world. It's like a game from a different era, and I really appreciated that about it. So I don't know. That's where we are with games right now. But all right, Montreal. Well, that's all we had for news this week. Anything else you want to cover before we go today?
Yeah, I did want to say one thing. I know we're pressed for time here.
No, you go ahead.
Uh,
Conversational show. Let's go.
Hopefully my Google doesn't crash on me because it's acting really slow. I'm thinking about the switch browsers actually. This is really insane. Um, I did download and subscribe to the Nintendo Online thing. Uh,
Mm,
well,
hmm.
I was already Nintendo Online, but I got the actual virtual console
Yeah.
subscription.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I played Yoshi's Story the other day.
Yeah, and you beat it in an hour.
I almost teared up playing it though.
Oh my
It was
god.
just such a refreshing game to play, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
why. Then I was playing Yoshi's Island. That game's fucking long as fuck. I forgot how long that game is.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I was just playing that game. I'm just like, dude, this is like a fun ass game. Like it was just, yeah, it's only like an hour or 2 hours long, whatever. But it's just like, bro, like I don't know, just hearing the music, playing it, and then like
Oh yeah.
not being
That like
serious.
dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, it's just not being a serious game. It was like the
Yeah.
perfect game because I had a terrible day at work. And it was like, this is what games are supposed to be. It's not supposed to make me sweat. It's supposed to make me happy. Like the
Yeah.
game made me genuinely happy. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the nostalgia talking, but like that shit
Well,
genuinely made me happy when I played the
maybe you need
game.
to play more Nintendo, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think Nintendo's abandoned that in any stretch of the imagination, right? Like,
Yeah. I think I am going to just start playing
um,
my Switch a little bit more
yeah,
often. Because
like
yeah, it
they're
just
still making games like that. So
yeah. So I think I am. I'm just
maybe I
gonna
need to do the same thing.
yeah. I think that's if you're just like in a gaming funk. I think a
Go
lot of
back to
people just
Nintendo.
yeah just go back to Nintendo. Um,
Daddy Nintendo's always willing to bring you back, right?
I mean you're right. I mean I'm actually thinking about getting that Peach game. I'm gonna play that game a lot, so I
Okay,
think I might get that Peach game and play
cool.
it.
What about Mario Bros. Wonder from last year too? The new 2D Mario
I might get it. I've never been a Mario fan like that.
or Pikmin 4. There was
Oh, I
Pikmin
might get
4 last
Pikmin
year.
though.
I
I
still
might
have
get
that on my
Pikmin.
thing, dude. Super Mario RPG though. You looking for something light? I mean, that's a really like that's a turn-based RPG I can get behind, right?
Okay.
It's um don't play Thousand Year Door. I really wouldn't recommend it if you haven't played it right now. Like I there's elements of that game that I don't they would annoy you. Like there are certain periods of the game that are just not great.
Okay.
um but Super Mario RPG is great pretty much throughout. Like it's a great fucking game. And it's actually short. It's like 15 to 20 hours. It's not
Well, you know what's
super
interesting
long.
about that console, man? They got almost every Zelda on there. Like you can play Majora's Mask.
Except for
When
Twilight Princess
they don't have the GameCube games yet on there.
and Wind Waker. They don't have Wind Waker either.
Yeah, so they don't.
Remember, they brought those to the Wii U, dude, and they have still not brought them over to the Switch. What are we doing,
I
Nintendo?
I think they're gonna bring the GameCube emulator when it Switch 2, whatever it comes out. That's when I think the GameCube emulator is gonna come
Bro,
out.
that'll get me back. Nintendo, if you do that, you'll get me back. Okay.
I was playing F-Zero yesterday, bro, on the 64. Oh,
Yeah.
game's so fucking good, bro. And it's not even a
Dude.
nostalgia thing. I
Yeah.
I genuinely like F-Zero, and I was just
Yeah.
like, this is so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Well, do you remember the one from N64 or was it the GameCube? Oh, you're
It
talking
was
about the GameCube one.
no the 64 version because that's the one they have on.
64.
That's the one they have on the virtual console.
Wait a second. There was a GameCube F-Zero though,
Yeah, there
right?
was F-Zero's GX.
Yeah, that fucking F-Zero is awesome, dude.
I haven't played that one, unfortunately.
Dude, they had a death race mode where there were 100 cars and you had to be the last car standing. And it was so fucking fun and addictive. Like shit was, I don't know. Nintendo's got a way about them, They just know how to make things light and fun,
Yeah,
or stupid and fun, Like they're not afraid to embrace just like silliness,
Yeah,
Even in a series like F-Zero that has some amount of seriousness to it, like it's such a dumb concept as like a
it's
death
such an
race.
80s
But
comic book world type
yeah,
game. It's so fucking funny, bro. Like I don't know, it's really funny. I was playing Kirby games and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I just think I'm about to just go on Nintendo binge. So
well, yeah, no, the GameCube library just has so much good shit, dude. Can you imagine like give me like Bait and Katos, even though I know they have that on, they ported that over, but it's like, give me the emulator version of it. I'll just play that,
you're such a degenerate.
or
Just play the
fucking
remastered version of it.
custom Robo, bro. Like give me some custom Robo or
That's one game they do need to bring
all the
back.
fucking Mario parties. Dude, we could play the old Mario parties online,
Yeah,
Like
they got Mario Party 3 on
what are we doing, bro? What are we doing? Why are we playing League? What are we doing? We gotta play.
because
We have to play
our
Mario
friends
Party
would not
together.
play Mario Party.
I don't care. We don't need them. Me, you, and Deanna. Let's do it. Mario Party 3, dude. Like,
DJ would join us.
fuck, there we go. We got 4 people. Let's fucking go, dude. Dude, Mario Party 3 is fucking superior. Okay? Let me just say that. I was thinking about that game earlier today for some fucking random reason. And I was just thinking about how superior Mario Party 3 is. It is just peak Mario Party. The maps are all good. You can play as all the best characters in Mario lore, You got Waluigi in there for the first time, and it's fucking excellent, And the mini games were good. It's just like all the mechanics were like the best combination of all the Mario Party mechanics in their best forms. Because they had that was the first game where you could have 3 items at a time. You could carry 3 items. Because remember, Mario Party 1 didn't have items at all. Mario Party 2 had items, but you can only have 1 at a time. 3 introduced you being able to carry 3 items, and you could obviously use them whenever, for the most part. But and then it had like the battle spaces where you would like do you remember where you would like land on it, and then it would take like 60 gold from everybody, and it would throw it in a pot, and whoever won the mini game would get all the fucking gold or whatever. It's like, oh my god, or all the coins rather. Sorry. And like, oh my god, it's just so good. And then it had the stupid it had the fucking Millennium Star or whatever, where he was like doing like the Tim Allen laugh. So I don't know. I have so many fond memories of Mario Party 3. I fucking love that game.
What happened to that character?
5 and 6 are both really good too. On GameCube, if they ever do a GameCube emulator, those are the 2 I would love to play. 5, I love 5. 6 is also really good. I don't like it as much as 5 from what I remember, but really good. Mario Party 1 though is fucking brutal, dude. Do you remember Mario Party 1 where you would lose coins for losing mini games?
No, I don't remember that. That's
oh
crazy.
my god, dude. Oh, it was fucking horrifying. Oh man, it was so fucking punishing. They had those spaces where you would do a solo mini game too. Do you remember those? Like they didn't do that in later games.
What the fuck?
Where you would land on again. You would land on a space, and yeah, there would be a solo mini game, and it would be a challenge game. Basically, you like a lot of the time it was like a platformer or something that you'd have to get through, or some kind of survival mini game or something like that. But if you lost, you would lose coins. Like so, it would put the pressure on you constantly. Like coins were so hard to come by in Mario Party 1. Like it was actually really hard to play if you weren't good at the game. Like you couldn't win the mini games. So yeah, no, that was Mario Party 1 was really fun. 2 is good. I just think 2 is like such a half measure between 1 and 3. Unfortunately, where I just think it's a little awkward at times. Like it's still fun to play. There were some really cool concepts in that game where like all the characters would wear costumes based on the map you were on or whatever. That was really cool. And then there was the haunted map, the haunted house map, where it would like have a day-night cycle, and they had like some interesting mechanics on some of the maps and stuff too. But if you couldn't tell, I'm a Mario Party like fucking fanboy. Like I love Mario
I can
Party.
definitely tell.
Yeah. I love old school Mario Party, I guess is what I should really say. It's just like I fucking dude, I played so much of those games when I was younger. So Montrell, just name the time or place. I'll get on and I will buy the Nintendo Online and let's go. Mario Party 3, baby. I will dominate you motherfuckers. No shot. God. You're gonna win. No shot. I'm throwing the gauntlet down.
We'll turn that game to League.
Fuck yeah. Oh my God. Dude, that's what it turned into in my house. I think I've told this story in the pod before. Like
Yeah.
my fucking brother and my dad, dude, they would be screaming at each other, screaming at me, like, oh, fucking bullshit. Fuck this game. Why am I playing this fucking game? Like we're playing League. Like, it was hilarious, dude. In retrospect, it's so fucking funny to think about how angry they would get about it. But no, it's good times. So I don't know. But Nintendo, do it. GameCube emulator on the Switch too. That'll get me back. That'll get me back in because GameCube is my favorite console. So, all right, Montrell, you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get the hell out of here. All right, everybody, if you like the show, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show whatever feed you are listening to it on. And please subscribe to us on YouTube as well. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap4the for the Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at ThunderNet01, and the show is at the Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. All right, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you next week.